Chapter 764. An unknown amount of time passed. As the endless, long river, in Tsing Hui's spiritual sense suddenly became clear, the deduction of the future reached perfection. Although the fortune jade could still deduce the supreme immortal technique, allowing him to see the direction of the long river completely, unlike now where he could only see small fragments, the consumption rate of the Tao aura in the fortune jade would inevitably increase by several times, 10 times, or even dozens of times. Even if he exhausted the remaining 3,000 to 4,000 Tao aura, he might not be able to complete the deduction of the next realm of the supreme immortal technique. Rather than that, it would not be too late to deduce it after the fortune jade was completely restored. I've completed the deduction of shadowless stance and reverse future and cultivated them to perfection. Next. Casting beans into soldiers and 1 qi into 3 pure ones. If I still have enough Tao aura reserves, I might as well cultivate the aura examination technique to perfection. After making some arrangements, Tsing Hui went into seclusion again. Time passed quietly in seclusion. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. In the 8th month of Tsing Hui's seclusion, esteemed Zhu Zhao, who had long reached the critical point of breaking through, finally had some enlightenment. With the help of the power of the source, he broke through to the vacuum-shattering realm in one go. He had the foundation of a great divine ability and his attacks were fiercer than ordinary cultivators. Now that he had broken through to the vacuum-shattering realm, his divine ability was strengthened by the power of space. Not only did his speed and power have a metamorphosis. Although he was almost a year slower than Divine Venerable Gu Huang's breakthrough, in terms of battle strength, he was above Divine Venerable Gu Huang and became the second strongest person in the Divine Wilderness world, second only to Tsing Hui. With esteemed Zhu Zhao in charge, Tsing Hui was relieved. After casting beans into soldiers, 1 qi into 3 pure ones, and aura examination technique, he once again comprehended the 6th supreme immortal technique, blossoming instant. Time flew by. The day of the Hunyuan sword sex election for the Master of the Chaos Temple finally arrived. On this day, practically all the sons of chaos in the Divine Wilderness had gathered to participate in this unprecedented event. As Tsing Hui planned to leave the Divine Wilderness world and was unwilling to become the Master of the Primal Chaos Temple in the Divine Wilderness world, after an internal discussion within the Hunyuan sword sect, esteemed Zhu Zhao, who had the highest cultivation and was at the Primal Chaos level, became the new master of the Primal Chaos Temple. Although the other sons of Primal Chaos in the Divine Wilderness had some complaints about this, no one dared to say anything in the face of the Hunyuan sword sect's mighty and nearly unbeatable momentum. The current Hunyuan sword sect could be considered the #1 power in the Divine Wilderness, not only in the real world, but also in the Chaos Temple. With Tsing Hui, who was suspected to be at the 60th level of the Son of Chaos, and esteemed Zhu Zhao, who was at the 44th level of the Son of Chaos, no power would be able to resist in a war against the Primal Chaos. Even the Grand Supreme, the Crimson Wings, the Sun Moon Divine Court, and other Primal Chaos organizations were no exception. In the face of the Hunyuan sword sect's policy of annihilation, if they did not agree with it, many Primal Chaos organizations naturally did not dare to have any dissatisfaction with the Master of the Chaos Temple elected by the Hunyuan sword sect. With the opening of the rear hall, which was exclusive to the Master of the Chaos Temple, the Primal Chaos Temple in the Divine Wilderness world immediately bid farewell to the era of being without a master. Ha! Quick, esteemed Zhu Zhao, immediately activate the new authority of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Let us see what kind of treasures will be born in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion after the new authority. As esteemed Zhu Zhao sat on the throne of the Master of the Chaos Temple, esteemed Zhengzhen could not wait to urge him. The Master of the Primal Chaos Temple can radiate the power of the Primal Chaos Temple into the spatial mezzanine. Another advantage is that he can completely break the resource blockade of our Divine Wilderness world by the dozen or so great worlds around us. With the extremely rich accumulation and foundation of our Divine Wilderness world, once the blockade is broken, the Divine Wilderness will definitely usher in a period of explosive growth. Esteemed Tianqiong also had a faint smile on his face. Although a series of experts might be born after the blockade of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion in the Divine Wilderness world was broken, he believed that as long as he and esteemed Zhu Zhao, who had the originator, were in power, their advantage would continue to be maintained. After all, the originator was a supreme treasure that even existences at the level of world creation with a thought would fight to the death for. Such a supreme treasure would definitely not appear in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion of a rank 30 or rank 45 Son of Chaos. Since everyone has requested it, then, esteemed Zhu Zhao met everyone's expectant gaze and immediately waved his hand. Instantly, circles of invisible ripples spread out with the Primal Chaos Temple as the center. In an instant, it disappeared from everyone's senses and spread out in the Primal Chaos space at an extremely fast speed. It had spread out tens of millions of light years in an instant. As the invisible ripples spread, everyone simultaneously felt that the daily consumption of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion had increased. From the original 1 Taoist rhyme, it had increased to 2 Taoist rhymes. Correspondingly, many items in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion had also undergone a round of rapid updates. When they saw the various supreme treasures in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion that had been updated, the rank 30 Son of Chaos present, as well as the Son of Chaos who had temporarily raised his Chaos level to rank 30, started breathing rapidly at the same time. Waves of uncontrollable exclamations came from their mouths at the same time. Oh my god, the Qilin Divine Beast's Cub only costs 43 Taoist rhymes? Samsara Crystal, this is the legendary Samsara Crystal. It can allow one to experience a lifetime of reincarnation in the crystal, tempering one's temperament and soul. For thousands of years, the Samsara Crystal has appeared less than 3 times, and each time, it costs more than 1,000 Taoist rhymes. But here, it only costs 90 Taoist rhymes. Innate Divine Rhymes. Innate Divine Rhymes. I saw the innate divinity. Moreover, it's the innate divinity of the divine beast Kuanpeng, which is most suitable for cultivators to break through to the domain realm. The price is 80. It only costs 80. How is this possible? The comprehensive price-performance ratio of the various items in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion is 10 times higher than during the previous lockdown period. What are you waiting for? Buy all of them. Oh my god. I don't have enough Taoist rhymes. I just used 280 Taoist rhymes to buy an illusion stone 2 years ago. What a waste, what a waste. I just heard from the one true God that his Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion has illusion stones for sale. 50 Taoist rhymes can buy 2 of them. All sorts of exclamations and screams came from the crowd. For a moment, the cultivators who had stored up a large number of Taoist rhymes were overjoyed. On the other hand, those who didn't had Taoist rhymes with pain and hatred. They were envious when they saw the numerous supreme treasures that had been refreshed in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Putting aside the fact that the supreme treasures were cheap, the key was that many of the items were precious items that couldn't be bought with Taoist rhymes previously. For example, the innate divinity, reincarnation crystal, which was effective on anyone and could directly increase one's power. When the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion refreshed, Xinghui glanced at his own Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. It was a pity, his Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion didn't change much as compared to before. It seemed that at his level, the effect of the ordinary Primal Chaos Temple didn't affect the operation of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Even the time it took for the items to be refreshed in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion had been greatly extended. However, one thing was for sure. Every time an item was refreshed, it would definitely bring supreme treasures that would make the giants in Primal Chaos Realm break their heads. From the looks of it, after going to True Sun Great World and coming into contact with other great worlds, the most important thing I need to do is to supplement my knowledge as soon as possible and understand the characteristics of those top treasures of heaven and earth. Otherwise, even if I have the best Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion, I won't be able to identify the many treasures inside and will miss them time and time again. Xinghui thought to himself. At this moment, he seemed to have noticed something and suddenly glanced at esteemed Master Tsangzhen. Innate divinity, esteemed Master Tsangzhen muttered with a trace of helplessness in his eyes. Esteemed master, what's wrong? Xing Hui stepped forward and asked. Esteemed master. Zhang glanced at Xing Hui, gritted his teeth, and straightforwardly stated his request. Xing Hui, I know that you must have a lot of Taoist items on you. Can you lend me some? I don't need too many, 60 will do. Esteemed master, if you need Taoist rhymes, just come to me and get them. Xing Hui agreed without hesitation. In the end, he asked curiously, Esteemed master, are you going to buy innate divinity to break through to the divine realm? I remember that you've stored a lot of Taoist rhymes during this time. Although Zhang Qiong borrowed most of the Taoist rhymes from me a few years ago, he and Zhu Xiao have more or less returned some over the years. Although I don't have much Taoist rhymes, I still have more than 180. It's more than enough to buy one set of innate divine rhymes. However, this time, the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion refreshed not just one set of innate divine rhymes, but 3 sets. The total is 240 Taoist rhymes. 3 innate divinities. Xing Hui's eyes were filled with joy and surprise. 3 innate divinities. With these 3 innate divinities, not only will you be able to break through to the divine realm in a short period of time, you'll even be able to take a solid step forward in the divine realm. If you do this 1 or 2 more times, it won't be difficult for you to reach the peak of the Grand Dominion realm. Once that's done, you'll be able to easily break through to the profound void realm with the accumulation you've accumulated over the years and the wonders of the world core, right? Master Zhang nodded heavily. When I break through to the Grand Dominion realm, give me another 4 or 5 innate divinities, and I'll definitely be able to evolve my domain to the extreme. Let's go. There's no time to lose. I'll transfer the Tao-carrying artifacts to you now. The sooner you get them, the sooner you can buy the innate divinities and use them to break through to the divine realm. Xing Hui smiled as he spoke. At the same time, his true body was already rushing toward Master Zhangzhen's courtyard. Before long, Xing Hui appeared outside Master Zhangzhen's courtyard. When Master Zhangzhen learned that Xing Hui was about to arrive, he was already waiting in the courtyard. Xing Hui smiled inwardly when he saw Master Zhangzhen's bashful expression. With a wave of his hand, a large number of Tao-carrying artifacts were transported out of the space. Venerable Master Zhangzhen stepped forward and eagerly collected the Tao vessels. However, when he heard the notification from the Son of Chaos interface, he was slightly taken aback. 400 Tao vessels? 400 innate divinities. Chapter 765. Xing Hui, just give me 60 Taoist rhymes worth of Taoist rhymes. There's no need for so many. Esteemed Master Zhangzhen quickly said as he looked at the 400 Taoist rhymes worth of items piled up in front of him. Esteemed Master, please accept them. Xing Hui said, as our divine wilderness world breaks through the blockade of the surrounding great worlds, we will definitely have more opportunities to buy innate godly rhymes in the future. If the innate godly rhymes are refreshed but we don't have enough Taoist rhymes, wouldn't we regret it? Moreover, esteemed master should know about my current situation. 400 Taoist rhymes worth of items are nothing to me. Compared to the help you gave me back then, these 400 Taoist rhymes worth of items are not worth mentioning. When esteemed Master Zhangzhen heard Xing Hui's words, he hesitated for a moment before finally agreeing. Xing Hui, thank you very much. After saying that, he said seriously, when I have accumulated enough Taoist rhymes worth of items, I will definitely repay you. Xing Hui smiled and did not refuse. Otherwise, with esteemed Master Zhangzhen's character, he might not be able to use these 400 Taoist rhymes worth of items with ease. After accepting these Taoist rhymes, esteemed Master Zhangzhen looked at Xing Hui with some emotion. Now it seems that the small help I gave you when you first entered the Sky Dome realm was really the best thing I did in my life. If not for that, how could I, Zhangzhen, in the Sky Dome realm, be where I am today? I am also glad that I met esteemed Master back then and didn't have any ideas about my chaotic realm. Otherwise, my cultivation path might not be so smooth. Xing Hui said with a smile. Gold will shine wherever it is. Even without us, there will definitely be a place for you in the divine wilderness world. Esteemed Master Tsongjin couldn't help but laugh when he said this. In fact, what I want to know the most now is whether esteemed Zhu Zhao, who didn't accept you as a disciple because of me, feels embarrassed and regretful every time he sees you. To be honest, at least I regret it. Although we are not master and disciple in name, we are master and disciple in reality. Regardless of whether it is you or Master Zhu Zhao, you have given me many pointers on my path of cultivation. Thus, why should I care about a mere title? When Master Tsongjin heard this, he nodded in agreement. Alright, I won't disturb your secluded cultivation any longer. I hope that when you come out of seclusion, you'll have entered the divine realm and become a major figure in charge of a region. Thank you for your kind words. Master Tsongjin said with a smile. Xing Hui nodded and turned to leave. After Qing Su left, he returned to his own mountain. Naturally, he began to prepare to leave for the true sun world. He planned to explore the vaster world and do his best to break through to the level of battle prowess that could create a world with a thought in the next 11 years. While he was preparing, the high-level sons of chaos in the divine wilderness were in an uproar. The seal of the surrounding great worlds on the divine wilderness had been broken, causing the high-level sons of chaos in the divine wilderness to be able to purchase a large number of things from the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Moreover, the price of these things was often extremely low, almost 1/10 of the previous price. Under such circumstances, the Almighties and Divine Realm Giants who had obtained a large amount of resources from the Chaos Treasure Pavilion naturally entered secluded cultivation quickly. As a result, for the next half a month, whether it was on the surface of the divine wilderness or in the Chaos Temple, it was calm and peaceful. A silent cultivation frenzy spread throughout the entire divine wilderness. It's about time. After giving out all the necessary instructions, Qing Su prepared to set off as well. However, just as he was about to leave, Bai Shuaing, the master of sword Bai Heng, once again appeared on Xing Hui's mountain. Xing Hui, are you planning to leave the divine wilderness? Bai Shuaing was not the kind of person who was good at pleasantries. After seeing Xing Hui, she went straight to the point. Xing Hui had only told a few people about this matter to Venerable Master Zhu Zhao and Venerable Master Firmament. When he heard Bai Shuaing mention this matter, he could not help but ask, where did you hear this from? I don't need to hear it. I guessed it from you not being the sect master of the Hunyuan Sword sect and the hall master of the Chaos Temple, as well as some other details. After Bai Shuaing finished speaking, she confirmed again, then, my guess is correct? Xing Hui was about to leave the divine wilderness, and there was no need to hide this matter from Bai Shuaing, who was equivalent to a core member of the Hunyuan Sword sect. He immediately nodded and said, yes, I do plan to leave the divine wilderness. There is a teleportation array in the Eternal. If I borrow the power of the World Core, I can activate the teleportation array and directly head to the True Sun Great World. I want to go to the True Sun Great World to take a look. On one hand, I want to search for opportunities in that world. On the other hand, I want to think of a way to resolve the crisis that the True Sun Great World might bring to our divine wilderness. Eternal, True Sun Great World. As expected. Bai Shuaing nodded slightly. She had clearly received some information beforehand, so she was not too surprised by Xing Hui's words. Instead, she asked, can you take me with you to the True Sun Great World? You want to go to the True Sun Great World? Xing Hui was somewhat surprised. At present, the divine wilderness has already broken through the blockade of resources placed on the Chaos Temple by the dozen or so surrounding worlds. In the following period of time, you shouldn't need to worry about cultivation resources, especially you. You have the origin. As long as you cultivate step by step, you will eventually achieve great things. Why take the risk of going to the True Sun Great World? In truth, I have always believed in one principle. Bai Shuaing raised her head slightly and gazed into the distance through the window. Only after experiencing the wind and rain can one truly understand the joy and preciousness of growth. It's similar to staying in secluded cultivation in the calm environment of the divine wilderness for a long time. This kind of life is not what I want. Xing Hui looked at Bai Shuaing in front of him. He did not expect her to have such thoughts behind her elegant and calm demeanor. Was she not willing to live a dull life? Have you spoken to Sword Master Long Rainbow, Sword Master Penglight, and the others? It won't be difficult to convince Sword Master Long Rainbow. In the past, the Rainbow Sword sect needed me because we were facing a huge threat from the Heavenly Tao. They needed my help, but now, the threat from the Heavenly Tao has been removed. Currently, the Primordial Chaos Sword sect is the #1 sect in the Divine Wilderness. With Exalted Zhuzhao presiding over it, there is nothing to worry about. Under such circumstances, if I choose to leave, Sword Master Long Rainbow will not stop me. Sword Master Long Rainbow will not interfere. Xing Hui looked at Bai Shuaing and fell silent for a moment. Finally, he said, "You don't need to rush to make a decision. I plan to go to the Eternal World in 3 days. During this time, you might as well think about it and give me an answer in 3 days. I've thought about it very clearly." Bai Shuaing stood up and expressed her attitude. However, she did not stubbornly insist. "I'll come back in 3 days." Xing Hui nodded. Bai Shuaing turned and left. Not long after Bai Shuaing left, 2 more people came to visit the mountain. These 2 people were the Shadow-bearing Sword Master and Xingyi Sword Master of Sword Shadow. Sword Sovereign Xing Hui. Seeing Xing Hui, the 2 of them did not dare to be as casual as Bai Shuaing. Instead, they bowed solemnly. Then, Sword Master Xingyi said, "Sword Sovereign, do you plan to leave the Divine Wilderness Great World in the near future?" "Oh. You also know?" Xing Hui looked at the 2 and asked, "In 3 days, I will set off for the True Sun Great World behind the Eternal World. Do you plan to go as well?" "It's not us, it's me," Sword Master Xingyi said. The Shadow-bearing Sword Master smiled bitterly. "I'm the current Shadow-bearing Sword Master. Before I nurture a new Shadow-bearing Sword Master, I cannot leave Sword Shadow. This is my duty and also my mission. Otherwise, I really want to go with Sword Master Xingyi. You have to think carefully. True Sun Great World is different from our Divine Wilderness Great World. True Sun Great World's Yuan Qi was damaged during the Great Battle with our Divine Wilderness 10,000 years ago, but it has already recovered by more than half. According to the information I received, True Sun Great World does not have powerful existences who can create a world with a single thought. There are even universe giants who are above powerful existences and can be said to be overseeing a region. If you go there, your status will fall to the level of a transformative or endless realm expert in Heaven Wasteland Great World. You will only be considered an insignificant person. Can you withstand this?" Xing Hui looked at Sword Master Xingyi. Sword Master Xingyi's expression was solemn. "I've thought it through. Even though I might not be able to recreate the glory and splendor I have in the True Sun Great World, only there can I hope to pursue a higher realm and goal. Not necessarily. We have already broken the seal of more than 10 worlds around us. There will be all kinds of cultivation treasures in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Relying on those cultivation treasures, you may be able to cultivate to the Insightful Void Realm, or Crushing Vacuum Realm, in the future. But you will never be able to cultivate to the Divine True Body." Sword Master Xingyi smiled bitterly. It is too difficult to rely on the resources in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion to cultivate to the Divine True Body. It can be said that it is so difficult that there is no hope. Therefore, I can only go to True Sun Great World and give it a try. Speaking of this, there was a flash of confidence in his eyes. "I believe that, since I was able to make a name for myself in the Heaven Wasteland domain, I will definitely not be inferior to others in the True Sun Great World. As long as I have enough time, there will eventually be a place for me in that world." Qing Su looked at Sword Master Xingyi. He could sense Sword Master Xingyi's soaring fighting spirit. After a moment of silence, he nodded in the end, "All right then. I'll take you with me when the time comes. It's not just you. I'll tell Sanqiong, Changhong, True God of Suffering, and so on that I can take anyone who wants to leave with me." Finally, he seemed to have thought of something. However, True Sun Great World is much more dangerous than our divine wilderness world. There are also many more experts. Without the strength of an almighty, it is better to continue cultivating in the divine wilderness world. Thank you, Sword Master Tsing Hui. Sword Master Xingyi immediately stood up and bowed solemnly to Tsing Hui. Then, Tsing Hui did as he said. He told Master Zhu Zhao, Master Firmament, Sword Master Long Rainbow, Tribulation True God, and the others about this matter. As long as they had the strength of an almighty and had the courage to go to True Sun Great World, they could follow him. Under such circumstances, on the third day, when Tsing Hui planned to leave for eternity, there were already 22 people waiting on his mountain peak. Chapter 766. Among the 22 people, there were many faces that Tsing Hui was familiar with. Aside from Bai Shuaying and Sword Master Xingyi, there was also the Lan Rui Sword Saint, the Flying Fish Sword Saint, the Floating Cloud Sword Saint, and so on. What surprised Qing Su in particular was that Yu Lan, the disciple that the Reverend Zhu Zhao was proud of, was actually among the 22 people. Esteemed Master, Yu, Tsing Hui looked at Yu Lan, and his gaze immediately fell on esteemed Zhu Zhao. Although esteemed Zhu Zhao was a little reluctant, he still said in a carefree manner, juniors have their own opportunities. You should know my situation. I'm afraid I won't be able to give Yulan any more pointers. Rather than that, it's better to let her go to the True Sun Great World. Anyway, didn't you say that you would return in 10 years? Let her go out and have a look. If she really can't go on, she'll come back with you in 10 years. The space channel on Earth would open again in 11 years, which was why Tsing Hui said that he would go to the True Sun Great World for 10 years. 10 years was naturally a long time for mortals, but for the people present, whose cultivation was at least at the Almighty Realm, it was not worth mentioning. It could even be treated as a temporary sightseeing trip. This was also the reason why so many people wanted to go to the True Sun Great World. However, esteemed Master, what I said about returning is just a theoretical statement. The teleportation array is a critical place, so it will definitely be heavily guarded. Even if there is no one at the realm of world creation, there will at least be a traversal realm expert guarding it. 10 years later, I may not be able to safely activate the teleportation array and teleport back to our world. If I don't have the cultivation of world creation, I may not choose to return to the divine wilderness. Tsing Hui said helplessly. It doesn't matter. I know that your goal is to cultivate one thought world in True Sun World. To achieve one thought world in 10 years is a fantasy for any cultivator. However, you have always been good at creating miracles. I believe that in 10 years, you will certainly live up to everyone's expectations. Esteemed Zhu Zhao seemed to be quite optimistic about this matter. When Tsing Hui heard this, he suddenly felt a little helpless. Besides, if you really can't come back, there's no need to force it. Since Yulan and the others have made the choice to go out and explore, they already have the awareness that they might encounter danger and die in a foreign land. You don't have to worry too much about it. Master Zhu Zhao said. The other divine realm experts and almighties who chose to go to True Sun Great World nodded solemnly. Master Zhu Zhao is right. Since we have decided to go to True Sun Great World, we will leave our lives to fate. We will not bring any trouble to Sword Venerable Tsing Hui. That's right. Sword Venerable Tsing Hui, you only need to bring us to the True Sun Great World. Everyone has their own opportunities. What we can achieve in the True Sun Great World will depend on ourselves. Sword Venerable, don't worry. I was able to cultivate step by step from a mortal on a medium-sized continent where the strongest expert is only at the Golden Core stage. What kind of storm and danger have I not seen? Even if the True Sun Great World is more dangerous, I am willing to face it. Tsing Hui's gaze swept across these people one by one. Seeing their resolute expressions, he did not try to persuade them anymore. In that case, all of you can enter my personal space. When the time comes, your lives will be up to fate. Thank you, Sword Venerable Tsing Hui. The divine realm experts and almighties bowed deeply to Tsing Hui at the same time, and then stepped into the personal space opened by Tsing Hui one by one. Everyone, I'll leave the Hunyuan sword sect to you. Qing Su turned around and glanced at Venerable Master Zhuzhao, Venerable Master Sky, Sword Master Long Rainbow, and the others. These divine realm experts nodded solemnly. Sword Venerable Tsing Hui, don't worry. We will take care of the Hunyuan sword sect properly. In that case, let's go. With that, Tsing Hui leaped up. Master Zhuzhao stepped forward and took the world core and Tsing Hui to the Eternal Sword sect. Master Firmament watched Master Zhuzhao and Tsing Hui leave with a solemn expression. He turned to the remaining divine realm experts and said, Sword Venerable Tsing Hui has his own things to do. We can't rely on Sword Venerable Tsing Hui's protection forever. From now on, we will have to rely on our own efforts. Everyone, let's work hard together. Let's work hard together. The divine realm experts agreed. Eternal Sword Sect. Since the Eternal Sword Sect had been destroyed, the Hunyuan Sword Sect had later released the Eternal Sword Sect's divine realm experts, but they had occupied the Eternal Sword Sect's divine realm experts. At this moment, the Eternal Sword Sect's divine realm experts were guarding the Eternal Sword Sect's divine realm experts. With the protection of the Eternal Sword Sect's divine realm experts, no one could tear the Eternal Sword Sect's divine realm experts apart unless divine realm experts from the divine wilderness personally attacked. If divine realm experts dared to attack the Eternal Sword Sect's divine realm experts, they would be provoking the Hunyuan Sword Sect again. At that time, Tsing Hui wouldn't even need to do anything. Master Zhuzhao, who had the advantage of being in the chaotic realm, would be able to kill him in one blow. Sword Venerable Tsing Hui. As Tsing Hui arrived at the Eternal Sword Sect's divine realm, the divine realm experts and divine realm experts came forward to greet him. Thank you for your hard work. Tsing Hui said. How can it be considered hard work when working for the sect? The divine realm expert said with a smile. At the same time, he gestured with his hand and said, Sword Venerable Tsing Hui, please come with us. As he spoke, he had already led the way. After a while, they appeared in front of a level 12 formation. This formation was constantly in operation, and there were 4 powerful experts presiding over it. Even a divine realm expert wouldn't be able to silently sneak in and destroy the teleportation formation protected by the formation. The divine realm expert led Tsing Hui and Master Zhuzhao to a large square in the middle of the formation that was 3,000 meters in diameter. This square was surrounded by 36 white jade pillars with mysterious runes carved on them. Even though the formation hadn't been activated yet, the formation itself was already able to slightly distort the surrounding space. In Tsing Hui's vision, this space was like a huge whirlpool that was sucking in spatial energy from all directions. Even without the world core, this formation would be able to absorb enough energy to activate and operate on its own in 3,000 to 4,000 years. Seeing this formation, Tsing Hui's expression turned slightly solemn. He asked, Are there many of these teleportation formations in our divine wilderness world? Although Master Zhuzhao's comprehension of the laws wasn't at Tsing Hui's level, he could more or less feel that something was amiss. He could vaguely guess the reason for his question. These formations were left behind by the Heaven Primordial World and the True Sun Great World behind the Eternal Sword Sect. The top formations were destroyed 10,000 years ago. It said that the supreme experts of our divine wilderness world killed their way into the True Sun Great World and the Heaven Primordial World through these formations. However, some of the weaker formations were left behind. There are about 10 of them. 10 of them. Tsing Hui stared at the teleportation formation for a moment and carefully sensed it before saying, This formation has been absorbing energy on its own for more than 10,000 years. It has already replenished 70% of its energy. If the other formations have similar effects, I'm afraid the problem is a little serious. You'd better mobilize manpower to find these formations and completely destroy them. Otherwise, when these formations absorb enough energy and operate on their own, the gate to our divine wilderness world will be completely open to the Heaven Primordial World and the True Sun Great World. Master Zhuzhao immediately said solemnly, Don't worry. When I go back, I'll send people to find these remaining formations. Whether they can still operate or not, we'll destroy them all first. That's for the best. Xing Hui nodded. Finally, he pointed in a direction and said, Master, place the world core there and activate the teleportation formation. Okay. Master Zhu Zhao nodded and embedded the world core into the teleportation formation. After receiving the power of the world core, the teleportation formation, which already had the power to slightly distort space, suddenly radiated light in all directions. Waves of ripples continuously spread out in all directions with the formation as the center. In an instant, the ripples had already spread hundreds of kilometers away. Xing Hui, you must be careful. When you reach the true Sun Great World, use the transformation art to escape without any explanation. I understand. Next, when I give the order, activate the formation and teleport me over. Xing Hui said cautiously. Master Zhu Zhao did not understand, but still nodded. In fact, Xing Hui had already activated the future reversal immortal technique that he had just perfected and began to peek into his future. Under the future reversal immortal technique, some intermittent scenes suddenly appeared in the long river of time. At times, there were supreme powerhouses who could create worlds with a thought, and at other times, there were only reigning realm powerhouses. Clearly, the person in charge of the teleportation formation on the other side was indeed a peak existence who could create worlds with a thought. However, that powerhouse was not always guarding the teleportation formation. Instead, the ones who took turns to guard the teleportation formation were reigning realm powerhouses. This gave him an opportunity to break out of the encirclement. As Xing Hui continued to use future reversal immortal technique to calculate, after a full 2 hours, the powerhouse who could create worlds with a thought finally disappeared. He immediately shouted, activate the formation. Buzz buzz. Esteemed Zhu Zhao waved his hand, and all the spatial energy in the world core was instantly drawn and poured into the teleportation array that had already absorbed all the spatial energy. For a moment, the spatial distortion phenomenon was stimulated to the extreme. Accompanied by a burst of intense light that soared into the sky, the spatial ripples that spread out reached the extreme, directly engulfing the area within a radius of thousands of kilometers. At the center of the spatial ripples, Xing Hui, who was still there a second ago, suddenly disappeared without a trace as if he had been erased by someone. Success! Master Zhu Zhao looked at Xing Hui who had disappeared without a trace and muttered, Xing Hui, although we don't know why you have to go to the true Sun Great World. I hope your trip to the true Sun Great World will go smoothly. Chapter 767. True Sun Great World. Unlike the fragmented divine wilderness world, true Sun Great World only had 6 continents since ancient times. Perhaps there was only one continent in ancient times, but that was so long that it was impossible to investigate. At this moment, in a valley on the Scarlet Sun continent, one of the 6 continents of true Sun Great World, there were 2 powerhouses who had cultivated divine true body, leading a dozen powerhouses who had shattered the vacuum realm, patrolling an area of tens of thousands of kilometers. Heaven Pass Valley. This was one of the most heavily guarded forbidden areas in the Scarlet Sun Empire. It was personally overseen by one of the 18 kings, King Hufen, and was guarded by 16 traversal realm dukes and generals at all times. As a result, there were at least 4 traversal realm powerhouses keeping an eye on this place at all times. No one could easily set foot inside. Today's patrol mission is completed. The leading divine true body cultivator said and led a group of people into Heaven Pass Valley. Next, he needed to switch shifts with another team and let the others continue patrolling. In the entire Sky Pass Valley, there were more than 100 patrol teams similar to this one, led by a divine true body expert and a dozen vacuum-shattering realm cultivators. If the teams that were on vacation were included, this number would be multiplied several times. Due to the large number of people and the fact that the one responsible for the defense of Tongtian Valley was Lord Hufen, one of the 18 kings of the Red Sun Emperor, the entire valley was impregnable. The so-called patrol was mostly routine. In any case, after so many years, the number of problems in Heaven Pass Valley could be counted on one hand. Hey, Captain Miao Cheng, I heard that you've been serving in Heaven Pass Valley for decades. Can you tell me what secrets there are in Heaven Pass Valley? Our Scarlet Sun Empire is such a large territory, but a king and a dozen or so important people are in charge of this place. At this time, a junior in the team who seemed to have cultivated for less than 1,000 years asked curiously. However, as soon as he spoke, the vice-captain, Ming Tong, who had also cultivated divine true body, glared at him and reprimanded, "Have you forgotten the rules of our Heaven Pass Valley? No one is allowed to inquire about anything that they don't have the authority to know. Little guy, do you want to be punished by those important people? If you really break the rules of Tongtian Valley, even those big shots who put you in here may not be able to protect you. Ming Tong, there's no need to be so fierce. There's almost no problem in Tongtian Valley for thousands of years. We don't need to be so nervous. Besides, the so-called secret in Tongtian Valley is nothing more than the place where some of the imperial family of our Qiang Empire passed away. There's nothing worth asking." Miao Qing waved his hand, not taking this matter to heart. "In short, you just need to patrol well. Apart from some curious people, there basically won't be any problems. And those who are extremely curious will often be detected by the outer spirit arrays before they even get close to the valley. The resting place of the Scarlet Sun Empire's royal family." The young man, who had shattered the vacuum realm, looked into the valley curiously. He seemed to find the valley more and more mysterious. However, just as he was looking into the valley, a stream of light suddenly spread out from the valley. In an instant, it formed a pillar of light that soared into the sky. At the same time, a circle of spatial ripples that could be seen with the naked eye quickly spread out in all directions. In the blink of an eye, it had already swept over hundreds of kilometers. This sudden change stunned the entire team at the same time. The next moment, a powerful aura burst out from the valley. The 4 reigning realm experts who were guarding the place poured their power down at the same time, enveloping the entire valley. And outside the valley, 8 auras that belonged to reigning realm experts swept over. Further away, Lord Hufen, who happened to be patrolling and leaving, hurriedly rushed over. Based on his flying speed that was almost like traveling through the void, it would take less than 3 or 4 breaths for his true body to completely descend. "What's going on?" Miao Cheng was stunned. "Hurry, let's go and see." Ming Tong shouted in a low voice and immediately flew toward the location of the anomaly. But before they had time to fly to the place where the anomaly occurred, a long roar pierced the sky. The next moment, a huge and majestic Kunpeng phantom suddenly flew out from the Tongtian Valley. With its extremely sensitive control of space fluctuations, it immediately tore the void apart and was about to escape into the space mezzanine with a figure. "Stop him! Beast! You want to escape? Hurry, activate the heaven-sealing earth-locking formation." Bursts of shrill roars came out at the same time as the divine beast Kunpeng rushed into the void, accompanied by a mighty force that seemed to be able to completely overturn the divine beast Kunpeng. At the critical moment, the figure led by the divine beast Kunpeng to fly into the space turbulence made a prompt decision. He abandoned the divine beast Kunpeng and used the divine beast Kunpeng as a shield to block the attacks of the crowd. Then, he waved his sword and instantly tore the void apart. He directly escaped into the space mezzanine and was about to escape. "Oh no! That's the person we really need to capture. General Alsor, you deal with this beast. We'll enter the spatial mezzanine to capture the person. This person came from that world. We can't let him escape. Duke Qing, I'll go with you to chase after that person." Along with the shout, 3 of the 4 Vermilion Realm experts guarding the teleportation array directly chased after the figure that had escaped into the spatial mezzanine, while the remaining one tried his best to tangle with the divine beast, the Kunpeng. However, just as the 3 reigning realm experts chased after the figure into the spatial mezzanine, a figure that was 70 to 80% similar to the person who had just left appeared again. Then, with a flash, he was about to escape into the spatial mezzanine again, luring the tiger away from the mountain. The remaining General Alsor immediately understood something and immediately roared, "You think you can escape from me with a mere void-shattering realm expert? Dream on." As soon as he finished speaking, he made a grabbing motion with his hand. The surrounding space seemed to have been squeezed into a sphere, including the figure with the cultivation level of the void-shattering stage. No matter how the figure struggled, he was unable to break free from the sphere. However, just as General Alsor was diverting his attention to capture the human figure alive, the Kunpeng seemed to have finally seized the opportunity. Its body trembled as it directly escaped into the spatial mezzanine. Then, with a flap of its wings, it erupted with the Kunpeng's innate ability to space and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Almost at the same time that the Kunpeng disappeared, 2 of the 3 reigning realm experts who had chased into the spatial mezzanine quickly returned. With a hurried expression, they said, "Not good, the person we were chasing just now was an incarnation." General Alsor's expression changed. His gaze also focused on the figure trapped in the space in his hand. Even though the figure in front of him looked no different from a real person, after he, a reigning realm expert, carefully sized it up for a moment, he still saw through the flaws of the figure. This person is actually also an incarnation. There's only one true body, and that's the Kunpeng. That divine beast, Kunpeng, is our real target. Kunpeng. How could a Kunpeng have such a plan? Transformation technique. A transformation technique derived from the 50th level of chaos. According to the materials sold in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, the amount of Taoist rhymes stored in that world is unbelievably rich. There must be many high-level sons of chaos that are extremely rare in our true Sun Great World. The one in front of us is obviously one of the best among those high-level sons of chaos. He's an existence who raised the level of chaos to 50 and pointed out the transformation technique. Let's chase after him. The reigning realm expert analyzed and rushed into the spatial mezzanine as fast as he could. However, due to their previous delay, when they chased into the spatial mezzanine, they could no longer catch the figure of the Kunpeng. For a moment, the expressions of these reigning realm experts became extremely unsightly. Whoosh! 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 Not long after the reigning realm experts entered the spatial mezzanine, the other 8 reigning realm experts in Sky Pass Valley hurried over. At the same time, King Huifeng, who was in charge of the overall situation in Sky Pass Valley, also arrived. The pressure formed by the creation of his personal world on the surrounding space caused the interlayers of space to be quickly smoothed out wherever he passed. It was as if a towering mountain was suppressing the sea, and in an instant, all the turbulent waves on the surface of the sea were destroyed. Greetings, King Huifeng. Seeing the arrival of King Huifeng, the 11 reigning realm experts present hurriedly bowed with guilt and apprehension on their faces. Where's the creature that came out of the spatial teleportation array? We fell for the enemy's trick of luring the tiger away from the mountain. The enemy has already torn open the void here and escaped. Please punish us, King Huifeng. General Alsor immediately half-knelt in the void and begged for forgiveness. However, King Huifeng ignored General Alsor. His gaze quickly fell on the location where the Kunpeng had left. After carefully sizing it up, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. This child. His comprehension of the laws is extremely profound. He tore open the space and escaped without leaving any traces. In terms of the understanding of the laws, I'm afraid he's already close to creating a personal world, reaching the realm of world creation with a thought. The other reigning realm experts couldn't help but be stunned when they heard this, reaching the realm of world creation with a thought. But not long ago, the people from that world said that the strongest expert in their world called the Divine Wilderness was only at the Insightful Void Realm. Insightful Void Realm is 3 whole realms away from the reigning realm. How is it possible? Did you see clearly that the enemy really came out of the spatial teleportation array? Yes, it's absolutely true. Duke Qing stepped forward and vowed solemnly. It looks like there's a problem with the Divine Wilderness. King Huifeng's expression sank. Think of a way to contact the chess pieces in the Divine Wilderness as soon as possible. We must ask what happened in the Divine Wilderness. I have to send a clone to the Imperial capital to report this matter to His Majesty. It's too difficult to reverse deduce and activate this spatial teleportation array with just the strength of our country. If we delay like this, the Divine Wilderness, this big piece of meat in our mouth, will change. His Majesty must make a decision as soon as possible. Chapter 768. Whoosh! In the endless void. The divine beast Kuanpeng that Qing Su had transformed into moved with unbelievable speed, moving at full speed. With his comprehension of laws that was on par with experts who could create a world with a single thought and the interference of the heavenly secrets from the immortal technique Shadowless Stance, he basically did not leave behind any traces along the way. Unless the titans who had cultivated chaos and fused with truth personally pursued him, even true immortals and true gods who could create a world with a single thought would not be able to catch a trace of him if they personally took action. Compared to the divine wilderness world, the true sun great world is really more powerful. While Tsing Hui was traveling through the endless void, he looked at the end of the world from time to time. With the divine beast Kuanpeng's talent in the laws of space and his law sensitivity that was not inferior to an expert who could create a world with a thought, he could clearly sense the void fortresses that were hidden in the periphery of the true sun great world from time to time. These void fortresses were equivalent to the satellites of the true sun great world. If there were some top experts who wanted to launch an attack from outside the true sun great world, they would first have to break through the defensive line formed by these void fortresses. I can't fly any further. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll be targeted by the experts who are stationed in these void fortresses. Tsing Hui muttered to himself. Seeing that there seemed to be another void fortress appearing in his senses, he immediately stopped moving forward. His body pressed down and escaped into the true sun great world in front of him. As the space barrier was torn apart, his figure appeared directly in the sky of the true sun great world. After appearing in the true sun great world, Tsing Hui did not dare to delay. He immediately transformed into his human form and activated his divine ability, chasing light. With a flying speed that was not inferior to a vacuum-shattering expert, he left the place in the blink of an eye. After flying for an unknown period of time, a huge city appeared in Tsing Hui's vision. Suddenly, the aura on Tsing Hui's body changed again. It was suppressed to the level of the golden elixir realm, and then he descended. Because he cultivated the ultimate sword Dao system created by the hidden sword sovereign, he had embarked on a completely different path after reaching the golden elixir realm. If he tried his best to conceal himself as a golden elixir realm expert, even a top expert who could create a world with a thought would not be able to find anything unusual about him. At most, they would only think that there was something wrong with his golden elixir. And for a top expert who could create a world with a thought, why would they pay too much attention to a mere golden elixir realm cultivator? According to the Tai Emperor, there are 6 continents in the true sun great world. Of the 6 continents, 3 of them are occupied by empires established by 3 primal chaos realm experts. Moreover, because the primal chaos realm giants are personally overseeing them, the 3 empires rule over the continents under their jurisdiction can be said to be impregnable. It won't be easy to mix in here. As for the remaining 3 continents, 2 of them are occupied by fierce beasts, sacred beasts, and divine beasts. So, the only one suitable for me to explore is the 6th continent where fierce beasts and humans live together, the Tsangshuan continent. After entering the city, Tsing Hui appeared to be quite low-key. After using some means to obtain a map of the nearby area, he leaped up again, activated his remarkable ability, and flew at full speed toward another city at the border of the Qiang Empire. This city was called the City of Freedom. It was the only city in the Qiang Empire that had a teleportation formation other than the 18 royal capitals. After paying the fee of 3 Dao runes, Tsing Hui obtained a quota to use the teleportation formation in the City of Freedom. After waiting for 3 days, the teleportation formation was activated. As the space rippled, his figure appeared on the Tsangshuan continent, which was tens of millions of kilometers away from the Qiang Empire. The Tsangshuan continent was named after Tsangshuan mainly because of the large number of ancient trees planted on this continent. This kind of ancient tree was not only tall and had a long lifespan, but also extremely sturdy. If cut down, it could be refined into a 9th or 10th grade divine weapon. Even a golden core expert may not be able to cut down a 1,000-year-old Tsangshuan ancient tree if they did not use the power of their golden core. Some Tsangshuan ancient trees that had grown for tens of thousands of years, or even hundreds of thousands of years, were so sturdy that they could withstand sacred attacks. Only shattering vacuum experts could cut and tear them apart. However, it was precisely because the Tsangshuan ancient tree was only useful to cultivators below the shattering vacuum stage that the Qiang Empire, True Martial Empire, and Flame River Empire did not interfere too much in the Tsangshuan continent. Otherwise, the top experts of the Tsangshuan continent might not be able to withstand the primal chaos overlords of the three great empires. Blackwood City. Xing Hui walked out of the teleportation formation and swept a glance around Blackwood City. The true Sun Great World was worthy of being called an ancient world that was in its heyday. As Xing Hui looked around, he saw almost all cultivators who had cultivated immortality. From time to time, he could even see great experts who had cultivated remarkable abilities. However, it was quite rare to see experts above the saint stage. But there were some. Qing Su used the aura examination technique slightly and glanced around. He saw hundreds and thousands of sainthood presences. Among them, there was a strange space that resembled a chaotic hole on a mountain several hundred kilometers away from Blackwood City. Even his aura examination technique was unable to see through it. Evidently, that strange space was the small world of a great expert who could create a world with a thought. It was clear that Blackwood City was personally overseen by a great expert who could create a world with a thought. But on second thought, it made sense. Although a thought to create a world had the ability to set up a teleportation array, it required a lot of effort and cost. Even a teleportation array from the Tsangshuan continent to the Qiang Empire, which was only tens of millions of kilometers long, wasn't a trivial matter to maintain. The expert who created this teleportation array naturally had to be nearby to keep an eye on it so that it wouldn't be destroyed and his efforts would be wasted. There's not much left. Xing Hui muttered to himself. He swept his gaze around and soon came to a place where he could rent a cave dwelling. This place was supported by a great expert who had cultivated the divine true body and had an excellent reputation. After paying a dao or a treasure, Xing Hui easily rented the best location for 10 years. Although this cave dwelling was called a cave dwelling, it was in fact a manor. There were layers of formations in the manor, the highest level of which was 15th order. Although the formations in the other places did not reach the 15th order level, they were still 13th order and 14th order. It could be said to be impregnable. After activating these formations and waving his hand to dismiss the servants in the manor, Xing Hui opened his personal space. Immediately, everyone in his personal space impatiently leapt out and landed in the manor. What rich yuan qi, compared to our heaven wasteland domain, the yuan qi here is 3 times richer. Cultivating here for a day is almost equivalent to cultivating in the divine wilderness domain for 3 days. Sword Master Xingyi, who came out of his personal space, immediately sensed the changes in the two worlds. The yuan qi of this world is indeed much denser than the yuan qi of our divine wilderness world. The denser the yuan qi is, the higher the chances of top heavenly treasures being born. Therefore, if everyone wants to wander around in search of heavenly treasures, you should be able to gain quite a bit. However, I suggest that everyone should not be in a hurry to search for heavenly treasures. Instead, use the items you have prepared to buy some cultivation items that you can use. When I came over, I casually strolled around a few chamber of commerce in this city. The items they sell are of very high level and are of great use to cultivators below the divine realm. Xing Hui introduced. Hearing his words, the eyes of those cultivators who had not reached the saint realm suddenly lit up. I have rented this cave dwelling for 10 years. In 10 years, everyone can freely enter and leave here. Moreover, after 10 years, if I have cultivated world creation with a thought, and plan to return to the divine wilderness domain, I will meet up with everyone here, if I have not cultivated world creation with a thought. At this point, Xing Hui paused for a moment. Everyone can only rely on their own opportunities. In Clear Sky Valley, there was an expert at world creation with a thought, who was in charge of overseeing the overall situation. Opening the teleportation formation often required 10 breaths of time if there were enough void crystals. Unless Lord Huifeng, who was in charge of Clear Sky Valley, had completely left Clear Sky Valley, 10 breaths of time was enough for him to arrive. At that time, if he wanted to ensure the smooth opening of the teleportation formation, he would need to have the power to resist the expert at world creation with a thought. 10 years is not long, but it is not short either. No one knows what will happen in 10 years. Bai Shuaing stepped forward and smiled indifferently. Xing Hui, during this period of time, have you gathered information about the true Sun Great World? What are your plans for the future? Since there are only 6 continents in the entire true Sun Great World, any one of the 6 continents is several times larger than our heaven wasteland domain. Right now, the Tsangshuan continent we are in is 4,690,000 kilometers long and 6,880,000 kilometers wide. Its area is ranked 3rd among the 6 continents of the true Sun Great World. There are hundreds of large and small sects on the Tsangshuan continent, as well as hundreds of clans and empires. It can be said to be chaotic, but there are only 16 forces that are truly presentable. 16 forces. These 16 forces should all have experts at world creation with a thought, right? Flying Fish Sword Saint, who belonged to the Baihong Sword sect, asked. That's right. Qing Su nodded. Among the 16 forces, there are a total of 28 experts who can create a world with a single thought. These 28 experts work together to maintain a balance of power. Apart from these 16 forces, there are also many ferocious beasts and sacred beasts in the Tsangshuan continent. Although there aren't many of these ferocious beasts, sacred beasts, and divine beasts, they still occupy a small portion of the Tsangshuan continent. They are also a force that cannot be ignored. My suggestion to everyone is to first join a sect. I believe that with everyone's talent to become great experts in the heaven wasteland world, you will soon be able to display your talents in those sections. Chapter 769. Enter a sect, huh? The Flying Fish Sword Saint nodded. That was their plan as well. Then what about you, Grand Elder Xing Hui? Me? Xing Hui smiled. I'm afraid I'll be a merchant next. The Flying Fish Sword Saint immediately understood. Xing Hui was different from them. Although they had deliberately brought many Dao-carrying items with them, perhaps 100 or 200 would be the limit. Xing Hui's, his Dao-carrying aura was vast. With true Sun Great Worlds prices being 10 times lower than the Divine Wilderness Worlds, the things he could buy were undoubtedly much more than what they could buy. Xing Hui, you have many good things on you. True Sun Great World is not the Divine Wilderness World. Don't be targeted by others. Bai Shuaing reminded him. True Sun Great World is different from our completely sealed Divine Wilderness World. Other than the local forces, there are also some external forces. These forces include a special chamber of commerce called Seeking Dao. Seeking Dao only has one expert who can create a world with a thought in the True Sun Great World. In addition, it is said that they have a chaotic realm giant behind them. However, when they first entered True Sun Great World, they were jointly resisted by the 3 chaotic realm giants of True Sun Great World, so they had no choice but to send a world with a thought expert to take charge of True Sun Great World's affairs. Although that chaotic realm giant has never truly stepped into True Sun Great World, Seeking Dao has a special status there. At the very least, the other forces, including the 3 great empires, do not dare to force the members of Seeking Dao too much. I only need to get a sufficient status in Seeking Dao, and the following transactions will be easy. Status in Seeking Dao. How do you do that? Bai Shuaing asked curiously. Seeking Dao, Seeking Dao. The Dao they seek is not the Dao of the Great Dao, but the Dao of Aura. In other words, as long as you have enough Dao Aura, you can trade with Seeking Dao many times. Once the amount reaches a certain level, your status will quickly rise. At this point, Xing Hui paused for a moment. I've seen the goods sold in Seeking Dao. Although the price is higher than the market price, if the level is high enough, you can buy many priceless treasures. Bai Shuaing nodded. Be careful. Don't get targeted by others. I understand. Daoist Qiu Dao values the credibility of an agreement very much. Although there are many despicable methods used before the agreement is signed, once the agreement is signed, everyone has to abide by the agreement. Therefore, I only need to maintain the secrecy of my true identity. Xing Hui seemed to think of something and said again, by the way, if you want to join a sect, I also have a recommendation. It's called the Void Sword Pavilion. It's said to be a force with a greater background than Seeking Tao. When Seeking Tao entered the True Sun Great World, the Chaos Giant behind him fought with the three existences in the Chaos realm of the True Sun Great World. In the end, they reached an agreement and were allowed to enter. However, the Void Sword Pavilion directly entered the True Sun Great World. The three Chaos Giants of the True Sun Great World did not even stop them. Moreover, until now, the Void Sword Pavilion has set up branches in the Scarlet Sun Empire, the Flame River Empire, and the True Martial Empire. They are safe and sound. Void Sword Pavilion. I'll think about it. Xing Hui did not insist after giving the recommendation. He also needed to learn more about Seeking Tao. Over the next few days, Xing Hui, Bai Shuaing, Sword Master Xingyi, Sword Saint Lan Rui and others were all busy, doing their best to learn about the Tsangshuan continent. As their understanding of the Tsangshuan continent gradually deepened, the almighty experts found their next destination and left one after another. 10 days later, there were only a few people left in the cave dwelling Xing Hui rented. And today, Bai Shuaing, who had thought it through, found Xing Hui and came to say goodbye to him. Have you thought it through? Void Sword Pavilion? Yes, the Void Sword Pavilion. I plan to go there and give it a try. With your talent, I believe that any force will rush to recruit you. I'm waiting for the good news of you making a name for yourself in the Void Sword Pavilion. Xing Hui said with a smile. Well, if everything goes well, I'll invite you to the Void Sword Pavilion for a chat. Bai Shuaing said. Go ahead. Xing Hui waved his hand. Bai Shuaing nodded. Then, she looked at Xing Hui as if she had something to say, but in the end, she couldn't say it. She only said, be careful. Don't worry, I won't do anything dangerous. Then I'm leaving. Okay. Xing Hui responded. Bai Shuaing turned around and flew into the air on her sword. But just as she was about to rush into the clouds, she still looked back at Xing Hui. When she saw that Xing Hui was still watching her leave, she couldn't help but smile. The next moment, her figure accelerated, like a white stream tearing through the void, streaking across the sky and disappearing without a trace. Watching Bai Shuaing leave, Xing Hui's thoughts were a little complicated. However, after a moment, he seemed to have thought of something. In the end, he suppressed those complicated and empty thoughts. He had already inquired about the location of the branch of Chiu Dao in Blackwood City. After a little preparation, he directly headed to the branch in the most prosperous area of Blackwood City. Although Blackwood City was huge, because flying was not allowed, Xing Hui only spent a few dozen breaths of time to arrive at the branch of Chiu Dao in the city center. The essence of Chiu Dao was a chamber of commerce, but it was a chamber of commerce with a hierarchy system and was still a member. The headquarters in the city center was not only responsible for the business of joining the sect, but also for the sale of goods. However, because they only accepted the internal currency of Chiu Dao, the branch hall looked rather deserted. Welcome, I'm receptionist number 6. I'm very happy to serve you. Xing Hui stepped into Chiu Dao, and a rather pure-looking young girl immediately came out to welcome him. Although this young girl looked very young, Xing Hui, who had already cultivated the aura examination technique to perfection, felt a faint aura of decay from her body. Based on his initial estimation, her true age was over 2,000 years old. Senior, what have you taken a fancy to? Are you familiar with the transaction method and process of our Chiu Dao? Receptionist number 6 asked. I understand. I'm here this time to become an instructor of Chiu Dao. In that case, senior, please come in. Receptionist number 6 immediately gestured with her hand and led Xing Hui into Chiu Dao. Senior, may I know which level of instructor would you like to become in Chiu Dao? Ordinary Chiu Dao instructors need to exchange 1,000 Dao points in one go. Intermediate Qiu Dao instructors need 2,000 Dao points, Advanced Qiu Dao instructors need 5,000 Dao points, and Deacon instructors need 10,000 Dao points. I need 10,000 Dao points to become a deacon. Xing Hui said calmly, 10,000 Dao points. Receptionist number 6's eyes lit up when she heard Xing Hui's words. She was not the only one. Even the faces of the other receptionists nearby were filled with envy at this moment. If it were not for the internal rules that forbade them from snatching customers who had already been served, they would have probably rushed over impatiently. Even so, there were still a few receptionists who pretended to accidentally break a cup to attract Xing Hui's attention. A young girl who happened to be not far from him even pretended to accidentally fall and leaned her soft body toward Xing Hui. However, before the young girl could pounce on Xing Hui, receptionist number 6's figure flashed and pulled her up. At the same time, she reprimanded, "Number 9, why are you so careless? What if you disturb our esteemed guest?" After saying that, she hurriedly gestured with her hand and said with a smile, "Senior, please come in first. Your choice to join Qiu Dao is definitely an extremely wise decision. In Qiu Dao, as long as you pay a certain amount of Dao points, we can provide any service for you." As she spoke, she deliberately straightened her waist a little, trying her best to show off her exquisite figure. However, although the woman in front of him looked like a young girl, Xing Hui, who knew her true age, had no interest in her at all. He only said with a slightly solemn voice, "Help me complete the entry procedures as soon as possible. I still have things to buy." "Yes, yes. Sir Deacon, please follow me." Receptionist number 6 was very good at reading people's expressions. When she saw that Xing Hui did not seem to fall for her trick, she immediately changed her role and respectfully led the way in front, bringing Xing Hui to an inner courtyard. In this courtyard, there were several people bustling back and forth. Each of them had a cultivation of the divine realm. Among them, the middle-aged man in the lead, even though he deliberately hid his aura, he still gave off a strong sense of oppression. Divine true body. Xing Hui saw this person's true cultivation at a glance. However, when he thought of the important location of Blackwood City, it was not strange for Qiu Dao to send a divine true body expert to guard this place. He would not be surprised if a great expert of the traversal realm came out of Qiu Dao. "Supervisor, this senior wants to join Qiu Dao and exchange 100 Dao rhymes to become a deacon." "Oh." The eyes of the middle-aged man with a divine true body cultivation lit up when he heard receptionist number 6's words. He enthusiastically walked up from his seat and greeted, "Please take a seat. I'm Dao Gang, the sect master of Blackwood City. How should I address you, Deacon?" "My name is Dong Yang." "So it's Deacon Dong Yang. Please take a seat." The middle-aged Dao Gang did not have the slightest majesty of a top divine true body expert. He enthusiastically pulled out a chair for Xing Hui and invited him to sit. At the same time, he ordered, "Quick, make tea. Spirit refreshing tea." "Yes." The maid on the side answered and quickly retreated. "Deacon Dong Yang, do you want to exchange 100 Dao rhymes for 10,000 Dao rhymes to become a deacon of Qiu Dao? Believe me, Deacon Dong Yang, you will definitely be glad of your choice today. Your Dao rhymes." With a wave of his hand, Qing Su took out an item that contained 100 Daoist charms. Sensing the prompt from the interface of the Son of Chaos, Dao Gang's breathing slightly stagnated. He looked pleasantly surprised and said, "Good, good. Deacon Dong Yang is really bold." As he spoke, he took out a jade tablet and said, "Deacon Dong Yang, as long as you imprint a strand of your spirit into it, the jade tablet will record the fluctuation of your spirit. When the time comes, we'll record it again and your identity will be stored in our Taoist's Taoist tool." Xing Hui nodded and imprinted a part of his spirit into the jade token. Dao Gang took the jade token and operated it in front of a machine-like object not far away. Not long after, he took out the jade token again and handed it to Xing Hui. "Deacon Dong Yang, please take a look. There are 10,000 Dao values in it. If you want to trade or buy something, you can insert the jade token into any Dao instrument." This Tao instrument was refined by our sect master using the refining technique and the alchemy technique in the world occupied by the Lord of Time. It is convenient and fast to share information. I'm sure you will be satisfied, Deacon Dong Yang. Okay. Xing Hui nodded and said directly, I want to buy something now. I want spiritual marrow. 100,000 spiritual marrow. Spiritual marrow was a treasure that contained more energy than spiritual crystals. With enough spiritual marrow, the wood spirit queen could continuously produce more wood spirits and the dragonization fruit tree could grow rapidly. After the dragonization fruit tree grew, bloomed, and bore fruit, Xing Hui's physique and life essence would transform again. At that time, the power of the transformation technique and the 49 great diffraction sword chi would all increase. This was the cultivation path that Xing Hui planned for himself. Chapter 770. 100,000 spirit essences? No problem. Dao Gang agreed without any hesitation. Although spirit essence was precious, it wasn't a precious item. Most of the time, it was only used as a transaction currency, but the Chiodao sect had a lot of it. Deacon Dong Yang, the price of 100,000 spirit essences is exactly 10,000 Dao points, which is 100 Dao rhymes. We have already deducted the Dao points. Please keep your card well. After completing the transaction, Dao Gang returned Xing Hui's identity jade tablet to him. Deacon Dong Yang, the Chiodao sect has its own businesses in Blackwood City, Heavy Light City, Mountain Leaf City, Hundred Flowers City and other famous top cities in the Tsangshuan continent. Each city has a luxurious cave dwelling. If Elder Dong Yang can exchange your identity jade tablet for 10,000 Dao points and be promoted to a bishop, you will immediately receive a luxurious cave dwelling as a gift. Oh. Xing Hui was a little tempted. After all, it wasn't very secretive to rent other people's cave dwellings all the time. How is the security of the luxurious cave dwelling? Please rest assured, Deacon Dong Yang. That luxurious cave dwelling is a place specially built by our Chiu Dao sect to provide shelter to all the rich bigwigs and sons of chaos whose identities are not guaranteed. There is absolutely no problem in terms of safety. In that cave dwelling, not only are there 4 experts who have cultivated the divine true body to lead patrols at all times, there is also a transversal realm patriarch of our Chiu Dao sect living in the cave dwelling. If there is a problem that the divine true body experts can't solve, the patriarch of our Chiu Dao sect will personally step in and exterminate the invaders. In addition, the area where the luxurious cave dwelling is located is protected by a 16th order formation, and each cave dwelling is protected by a 15th order formation. A 16th order formation. A 16th order formation, plus a reigning realm grand elder of the Chiodao sect. Even if several reigning realm experts attacked, they wouldn't be able to do anything to the luxurious cave dwelling area in a short period of time. With this thought, Xing Hui nodded. Is there anything else other than the cave dwelling? You should know that 10,000 Dao points is a Dao item worth 100 Dao rhymes. The entire Chiodao sect, excluding the cost, only earns a few hundred Dao rhymes a year, right? With these merits, if you want Dao points, you will definitely be rewarded handsomely. It won't be difficult for you to move up your position. Hearing Xing Hui's words, Dao Gang's face immediately revealed a trace of embarrassment, but he still hurriedly said, Deacon Dong Yang, that luxurious cave abode is actually sold for 6 to 12 Dao runes on the market, and the King building is sold for an astonishing 20 Dao runes. It is definitely worth it. You only need to top up another 100 Dao runes, and you will not suffer any losses. You will be able to obtain such a cave abode that is worth nearly 10 Dao runes. At this point, Dao Gang gritted his teeth and said, if Deacon Dong Yang needs it, I can arrange all the servants in the cave residence for you. Not only will there be personal guards and servants, but I can also provide you with 10 Feather Clan girls. What do you think? Harpies, during this period of time, Xing Hui had a little understanding of the situation in the true Sun Great World. Other than the human race and ferocious beasts, there were also some humanoid races in the Eastern Sun Great World, and the Harpies were one of them. The harpies were not only beautiful, but if they were to dual cultivate with them, they would have the effect of purifying the vital energy and cleansing the body of impurities. They were very popular on the market. Depending on the quality of a harpies, they could be sold for a high price ranging from 10 to several thousand Dao points. There is no need to deliberately arrange it. I remember that there is a slave trade in Chodao sect. Give me your high-level quota. Xing Hui said. High-level quota. Dao Gang carefully weighed the gains and losses of the high-level quota and the harpies and quickly made a decision. I only have 3 high-level quotas every 10 years. I have already given away one of the 3 high-level quotas, and there are only 2 left. However, if Deacon Dongyang is willing to wait for a while, I can gather 3 quotas for you. Sure. Xing Hui nodded. In Chodao sect, one could often buy many good things that could not be found on the market, and high-level slaves were one of them. These high-level slaves often had a skill, and their cultivation was not lower than the divine realm. They were often expensive. Xing Hui reckoned that Dao Gang's assets were limited, and he could not afford a high-level slave. Therefore, he happily chose to give the high-level quota to Xing Hui. This is a Daoist item with 100 Daoist rhymes. Xing Hui waved his hand and took out the item with 100 Daoist rhymes. Dao Gang, who was still a little hesitant, immediately showed a look of ecstasy. Good, good, good. Deacon Dongyang, I will help you go through the formalities and upgrade your authority. As he spoke, he once again took the jade token to the place where the Daoist artifact was located and quickly completed the exchange of 10,000 Dao points. Bishop Dongyang, please keep your identity jade token. We will send you some of the basic benefits as a bishop soon. In addition, Dao Gang waved his hand, and a 3-dimensional projection was projected. It was a continuous mountain range with hundreds of peaks. The mountain range was nearly 3,000 kilometers long, and each peak occupied an area of several kilometers. Some peaks even occupied dozens of kilometers. Each of these mountains had detailed markings that recorded the area, the density of spirit qi, the defensive formation, and the assigned servants. Bishop, please take a look. You can choose any of these 30 peaks. Qing Su glanced at the mountains. The 30 or so mountains were all very ordinary. Not only were they small in size, but the amount of spiritual qi was also very ordinary. After pondering for a while, Xing Hui's gaze fell on one of the peaks that was more than 10 kilometers long. What about this one? Just tell me how much Daoist rhymes you need. The price of this one is originally 1,400 Dao points, but if you like it, I can make the decision for you. You can add 800 Dao points. Okay. Xing Hui directly took out his identity jade token. Seeing Xing Hui so forthright, Dao Gang's eyes flashed with envy, but he quickly went through the relevant procedures for him. Soon, the peak disappeared from the 3-dimensional projection. Bishop, soon, the formation control jade token, the slave contracts of the servants in the cave residence, and other related items will be sent to you. Dao Gang smiled. Xing Hui nodded slightly. During this time, I want to take a look at the high-level servants on sale. Bishop, do you want to look at the Daoist artifact or go to the site to choose? At present, a batch of high-level servants just arrived in Blackwood City half a year ago. There are 24 of them, accounting for nearly a quarter of the total number of high-level servants. That's great. Let's go to the site. Xing Hui said. He had the Qi art and even the supreme immortal technique of future reversal. He could vaguely judge whether a person had a future and whether they would be useful to him in the future. I'll personally bring Bishop there. Dao Gang obviously saw that Xing Hui was of high status and wanted to make friends with him. He immediately summoned a middle-aged man with the cultivation of vacuum-shattering realm and asked him to temporarily take charge of his work, while he brought Xing Hui to the interior of Qiu Dao. As Xing Hui went up to the attic, the surrounding environment changed. In his vision, he could even see circles of spatial fluctuations. With the cooperation of these spatial fluctuations and the void crystal, the floor, which was only about 1,000 square meters in diameter, opened up into a different world. It made Xing Hui feel as if he was in a group of courtyards. Oh, it's Supervisor Dao Gang. Seeing Xing Hui and Dao Gang arrive, a middle-aged man who had also cultivated the divine real body immediately came out to greet them. Supervisor Iron Flag. Dao Gang greeted the middle-aged man and gestured with his hand. Let me introduce you. This is the new Bishop of Chiu Dao, Bishop Dong Yang. Bishop. Hearing Dao Gang's introduction, Supervisor Iron Flag's eyes suddenly lit up. He said enthusiastically, Bishop Dong Yang, do you want to buy high-level servants? Then you've come at the right time. Our Blackwood City branch has just received a batch of high-quality servants. No matter what you want, we can almost satisfy almost all of them. Come, let me introduce you to Bishop Dong Yang. As Iron Flag spoke, he directly led Xing Hui to a courtyard. The courtyard was enveloped in a formation. As he pointed at it with his hand, a beautiful girl in a wide-sleeved dress with a noble and elegant aura suddenly appeared. Although the girl looked a little dispirited, the innate noble aura on her body was enough to make anyone's mouth water. Bishop Dong Yang, this is the little princess of the Chonglong Empire, Princess Longyu. She is the most beloved daughter of the Chonglong Great Emperor. The Chonglong Empire itself is a large empire with a territory spanning hundreds of thousands of kilometers. The Chonglong Great Emperor himself is a giant who has cultivated to the realm of freedom. He regards the little princess as the apple of his eye and has done his best to cultivate her. In terms of character, morality, and cultivation, she is the best choice. In addition, she has the cultivation of the divine realm and her ability to withstand damage is extremely high. If you buy her, you will be satisfied no matter what game you want to play. The Iron Flag supervisor gave Ching Su a knowing look when he said that, such a high-quality servant only requires 1,300 Daoist rhymes. It's definitely worth it. This kind of servant is useless to me. I need someone like a butler and a loyal guard. A butler needs to be knowledgeable, and a guard needs to have a high cultivation base. Xing Hui silently glanced at Princess Longyu. He vaguely sensed something, but he didn't think too much about it and went straight to the point. A butler who knows everything and a guard with a high cultivation base. Iron Flag pondered for a moment and quickly thought of something. A guard is easy. Among the high-level servants we've tamed this time, there are a total of 6 vacuum-shattering guards. 2 of them are in Blackwood City. As for the butler, what about the butler? The butler's name is Tuoba Changkong. He has cultivated the Xuanwu bloodline and has lived for 8,000 years. He can definitely be considered knowledgeable. However, his cultivation base is as high as the vacuum-shattering realm, and with his own advantages, the price is a little high. Oh? How high? 8,000 Dao rhymes. It's only 8,000. I'll take it. Xing Hui waved his hand and set the price. Chapter 771. Bishop Dong Yang sure is straightforward. Seeing Xing Hui buy Tuoba Zhangkong without hesitation, he said, all right, take me to see that Tuoba Zhangkong. Lord Bishop, please follow me. Iron Flag led the way and soon arrived at a courtyard. Inside the courtyard covered by a formation, an old man in his 60s with an immortal aura was sipping tea, looking calm and indifferent. Xing Hui didn't stand on ceremony and directly used the aura examination art to size up the old man. Just as Iron Flag said, this old man's cultivation was exquisite and had already reached the pinnacle of the vacuum-shattering realm. The spatial fluctuations on his body were faintly discernible. As long as there were enough resources, there was hope for him to condense a divine true body. In addition, having lived for 8,000 years, his lifespan was still quite long. It wouldn't be a problem for him to live for another 1,000 or 2,000 years. What surprised Xing Hui was the old man's luck. His luck was actually blazing red. Although he had suffered a disaster now, his future was definitely not limited to this. Seeing through the other party's luck and lifespan was a change derived from the aura examination art's perfection. After Xing Hui achieved this, he once again used the somewhat uncertain supreme immortal art, reverse future divination. As he used the immortal technique of future reversal, Qing Su saw flashes of swords and blades intermittently. However, in the end, he managed to escape unscathed. Before he could continue observing through reverse future divination, the scene he saw suddenly changed. The figure of Princess Long Yu appeared in it. Her figure appeared in a flash, but in the end, it was fixed in a vast and resplendent starry sky. Then, the scene collapsed. This Princess Long Yu. Her origin is problematic. From the information derived from reverse future divination, she seems to have come from the endless void. Xing Hui's heart stirred. Then, he looked in the direction of Princess Long Yu again. This time, he had already used the aura examination art. As he used the aura examination art, a dazzling red light suddenly soared into the sky like a pillar of qi, straight into the clouds. However, this pillar of energy that shot into the sky only lasted for a short moment before it was immediately suppressed by an invisible force, causing it to disperse with a bang and become muddle-headed. It was even to the extent that Xing Hui almost thought that it was an illusion. These are the two fated chances of life and death. Xing Hui suddenly understood something. Princess Long Yu's fate clearly showed two extremes. One was to become a plaything of the masses, while the other was to soar into the heavens with a single bound, limitless. Soar to the heavens in a single bound, Xing Hui pondered for a moment and quickly came up with a plan. If he wanted to cultivate world creation in a thought within 10 years, it would be a fool's dream if he used conventional methods. In that case, he might as well gamble on this Princess Long Yu. Qing Su had an idea, but he did not show it on his face. Instead, he continued to observe the other high-class slaves with Tai Chi. Although the other high-level slaves had their own miraculous abilities, Xing Hui was most interested in their luck. None of them could compare to Princess Long Yu. Bishop Dong Yang, how is your observation going? Good. Qing Su couldn't be bothered to waste any more time on Taba Zhangkong. He directly said, I want Taba Zhangkong. Besides that, there's also Princess Long Yu. I just happen to have two high-class slaves. Is that all right? No problem, absolutely no problem. Bishop Dong Yang really has a good eye. Iron Flag hurriedly boasted to the side. After taking Xing Hui's identity jade tablet and completing the transaction, after deducting a total of 9,400 Dao points, he took back the two jade tablets that contained divine soul fluctuations. Bishop Dong Yang, these are the soul brands that control the life and death of these two people. Don't worry, both Tuoba Changkong and Princess Long Yu have been well trained by us. As long as you don't completely destroy them, they won't easily seek death or cause trouble. Of course, I also believe that Bishop must have many means to make them unable to die even if they want to. Okay. Xing Hui took the jade tablets and quickly refined them. As the jade tablets were refined, the life and death of Tuoba Changkong and Long Yu were in his hands. He could even vaguely control their every move through the jade tablets. With this ability, even if the two wanted to commit suicide, they wouldn't be able to do it. It's really a good method. Bishop, you flatter us. We asked Old Man Xi and Mo to personally take action to induce their inner demons and then take advantage of the situation to control them. It's not an easy task. Iron Flag said with a smile. Xing Hui knew that Old Man Xi and Mo was the supreme elder of the Demon Statue Palace, one of the top 16 forces of the Tsangshuan continent. The Demon Statue Palace was also one of the strongest forces in the Tsangshuan continent. They had 3 experts who could create a world with a thought, but because of their ruthless and cruel way of doing things, they were jointly opposed and resisted by several sections. After Xing Hui bought Tuoba Changkong and Long Yu, the two were quickly brought to Xing Hui by a middle-aged man who possessed the shattering vacuum realm. Without needing anyone to speak, Tuoba Changkong and Princess Long Yu respectfully bowed, "We pay our respects to Master." The two of them had already been trained. They were respectful towards Qing Su on the surface, but even if they had other thoughts, they would do their best to hide them. They would never let anyone see through them. Those stubborn people who would rather die than submit had truly been sent to see the King of Hell a long time ago. Okay. Bishop Dong Yang, the things have been delivered. How about we? At this moment, Dao Gang spoke up in a timely manner. Let's go. Bishop Dong Yang, remember to come often. If there are any top goods, we will inform you as soon as possible. Okay. Xing Hui nodded slightly to Iron Flag and followed Dao Gang out of the open space. After Xing Hui and Dao Gang left, the man who brought Princess Longyu and Tuoba Changkong over said with a smile, as expected of the supervisor. He actually sold that old man for a high price of 8,000 Dao points. Hehe, with Tuoba Changkong's weight, 8,000 Dao points isn't considered expensive. It is indeed not expensive, but we have yet to completely clean up the remnants of the Astral Sword sect. As one of the most respected elders of the Astral Sword sect, someone could come to rescue Tuoba Zhangkong at any time. This is where the hidden danger lies. Didn't the previous two guests take a fancy to Tuoba Zhangkong because of this point? In the end, they temporarily let go of him because of this. Moreover, at that time, the manager had already lowered the price to 6,000 Dao points, right? It's just a business method. Tuoba Changkong does have a lot of merits. 8,000 Dao points can be considered a good deal. As for the hidden danger, he didn't inquire about it clearly. Who can he blame? Mortals sell pork filled with water and rotten fruits. Therefore, there's no need to make a fuss about this. After saying that, Iron Flag waved his hand and walked into the courtyard. Clearly, he was going to calculate how much profit he could make from this round of transactions. The items for Daoist seeking were quite simple. A bishop's robe with decent defensive power, a device specially used to connect to Daoist seeking style artifact, and a book to promote Daoist seeking style. After putting away these items and taking the control token for the cave dwelling, Xing Hui headed out of Blackwood City. The cave abode developed by Daoist Xiao was about 2,000 kilometers away from Blackwood City. This distance was nothing to any Saint Realm cultivator. It was also the reason why they dared to sell a few or a dozen Daoist rhymes at a price. Since Xing Hui bought one of the highest peaks in this cave-dwelling area, when Xing Hui arrived, a divine real body expert in charge of maintaining the safety of this area was already there with several vacuum-shattering guards. When he saw Xing Hui, he immediately greeted him with a smile. Are you Bishop Dong Yang? I'm Qi Yukong, the commander of Cloud Mountain Cave. I'll take Bishop Dong Yang to your mountain. Thank you, Commander Qi. Ha, it's our duty to serve Bishop Dong Yang and the others well. Please come in, Qi Yukong said as he led Xing Hui directly to his mountain. On this mountain peak, there were a total of two 15th level formations. As for 14th level formations, there were more than 10 of them. Just the maintenance of the formations alone was not a small expense. In addition, there were many exotic flowers and herbs planted on the mountain peak, and there were red-crowned cranes flying around. It made the mountain peak look like a blessed land of immortals. It was barely worthy of its high price of 13 Daoist rhymes. Bishop Dong Yang, this is my identity jade token. If you need anything in the future, just send me a message. We'll be there as soon as possible. After bringing Qing Su to the mountain, Qi Yukong left behind his method of contact passionately. He did not seem like a great figure of the gods at all. It should be known that divine real body experts only needed to make contributions in the Red Sun Empire to be conferred the title of Viscount. Those with prominent status could even be conferred the title of Count. They had jurisdiction over hundreds of millions of people. Even if they didn't become officials, they could still find a place to establish a sect and become the leader of a small sect. It had to be said that due to the environment of Daoist seeking, the members of Daoist seeking did not have the dignity and awareness of being experts at all. They all acted as if they were rich and powerful. But then again, this was also the reason why Xing Hui chose to join Daoist seeking in the end. Thank you. Xing Hui nodded to Qi Yukong and landed on the mountain. The servants on the mountain who were responsible for the normal maintenance had already received the news and were waiting in the square. When they saw Xing Hui arrive, they all bowed. Xing Hui glanced around and saw that there were more than 200 maintenance personnel on the mountain. This was just the basic maintenance personnel. If he planned to do something else, there would be more people. Alright, Tuoba Changkong, you're the manager of this mountain. Go and make the arrangements. I'll give you a day to take care of the mountain. I have something to ask you tomorrow. Yes, master. Taba Zhangkong respectfully bowed and asked at the same time, Master, may I know what name we should give to the outside world? Name? Let's call it Dongyang Mountain. Yes. Tuoba Changkong replied respectfully. Long Yu stood to the side and said nothing. Even though she was mentally prepared for her fate, she would not take the initiative to serve Tsing Hui if he didn't mention it. Qing Su obviously would not force her to do anything. He only said, you don't have to feel too burdened. I'm only buying you because of the Chonglong Emperor's kindness in the past, so I'm just returning the favor. Alright, get the steward to make arrangements for you. Go get some rest. Don't worry, I won't force you. With that, he turned and left. Chapter 772. A day passed by quickly. Tuoba Changkong was the great elder of the Astral Sword sect. He was responsible for coordinating with the sect head to manage all the affairs of the sect. Now, he was naturally familiar with the small Dongyang Peak. Soon, the entire Dongyang Peak was in good order under his management. On this day, Tsing Hui also had a good understanding of his mountain. The defensive power of the mountain was unquestionable. In addition to the 16th order formations outside, there were also two 15th order formations in the mountain. One was used for defense, and the other was used to trap and kill. As for the remaining 14th order formations, they were mostly used for defense and isolation, mainly to ensure the concealment of the mountain. After a brief understanding of the formations on the mountain, Tsing Hui breathed a sigh of relief. Staying on this mountain, as long as he did not encounter a 16th order formation master or a maverick expert, he would have a chance to react to anything. As for 15th order formation masters and divine true body experts, they might have the ability to disintegrate this formation, but they definitely could not do it quietly. During this period of time, Chi Yukong and a Maverick Realm Grand Elder who lived here would definitely rush over as soon as possible, so it could be considered safe. Tsing Hui slightly dealt with the matters at hand. As if sensing something, he reached out and took the deep scarlet sword off his body. Tsing Hui carefully sensed the deep scarlet sword. In this divine sword, he vaguely felt the existence of a life. A sword spirit. It was the sword spirit that was only left with a broken sword intent. After all these years of nurturing the sword intent, this sword intent had finally completed the transformation from a broken consciousness to a sword spirit. Although it was still unable to communicate with Tsing Hui, it already possessed the characteristics of a sword spirit. It was equivalent to a special life form. A remnant sword will can actually grow into a sword spirit. It's really tenacious. I really don't know how powerful this sword spirit was when it was at its peak. Tsing Hui held the deep scarlet sword in his hand and carefully examined it. He sighed emotionally inside. Since the deep scarlet sword had been refined into the originator, not only had the broken sword intent grown into a sword spirit, but it had also risen to the 16th order during this period of time. Its carrying capacity for the Sword of Sunlight had increased once again. Even when using the Sword of Eclipse, the burden on it had decreased significantly. It was just a pity that Tsing Hui had yet to meet someone who required him to use the Sword of Eclipse with his full strength. He still did not have a clear grasp of the sword technique's true strength. Tuoba Changkong is an expert at the peak of acoustic shattering vacuum. I should give him some time, Tsing Hui thought as he stowed the deep scarlet sword away. At the same time, he split a portion of his consciousness to glance at the dragonization fruit tree planted in his personal space. As he poured 100,000 spiritual marrow into his personal space, the Wood Spirit Queen's rate of nurturing wood spirits had clearly increased. Before the 100,000 spiritual marrow had even been depleted, she had already nurtured 3 wood spirits. There were now 6 wood spirits in total. The dragonization fruit tree's rate of growth had increased significantly as well. At this rate, As long as he could increase the number of wood spirits in his personal space to 20, he was confident that he could nurture a dragonization fruit tree within 10 years. Wood spirits, it really isn't something that just anyone can nurture. The amount of Tao that I possess right now is no less than the amount of Tao that those chaotic great lords possess. However, the efficiency of nurturing 4 or 5 wood spirits with 100 Tao rhymes is still heart-wrenching. If I want to nurture 20 wood spirits, I'll need 300 or 400 Tao items at the very least, Tao items with 300 or 400 Tao rhymes. If it weren't for the fact that dragonization fruit was rarely sold in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, Xing Hui would have been tempted to buy it directly with Tao rhymes. Why would he spend so much effort on the dragonization fruit tree? Shaking his head, Xing Hui withdrew his gaze. He wanted to buy more spiritual marrow, but he had already spent 200 Tao rhymes on Taoism seeking. If he continued to spend more, he would definitely be targeted by the higher-ups of Taoism seeking. When that time came, it would be troublesome. Before his physique transformed again, and before his life essence reached the level of a divine beast, he planned to lay low for a period of time. Master. Early the next morning, Tuoba Changkong had already arrived. He respectfully greeted Xing Hui. I've taken a fancy to you and bought you mainly because you were the Grand Elder of the Astral Sword sect back then. You're also very experienced. I want to know more about the true Sun Great World and even information about the outside world from you. Master, feel free to ask. Very good. Do you know of the Time Lord and the Master of Gods? I've read some records in the past. Regardless of whether it's the Time Lord or the Master of Gods, they are the greatest beings in the chaotic starry sky. It's said that they are on the same level as the Master of Chaos, the ruler of the divine realm formed by billions of worlds. Tuoba Changkong respectfully said. Oh. Seeing that Tuoba Changkong had actually heard of the Time Lord and the Master of Gods, Xing Hui's interest was immediately piqued. Tell me about the divine realm you mentioned and the chaotic starry sky. Yes, Master. Our Astral Sword sect had once been glorious and prosperous. Although we had never produced a great giant in the chaotic realm, our ancestors had more than one almighty who could create a world with a thought. These almighties had once served the distant ancestor of the true Sun Great World, Paragon Gao. They had also gone on an expedition to 3 worlds with Paragon Gao. They had also fought against the enemies that invaded our true Sun Great World. According to our communication with these worlds, we learned that the endless void governed by the Great Master of Chaos is called the Chaotic Divine Realm, named after the Master of Chaos. The other 2 vast voids are the Time Universe and the Divine Realm. Chaotic Divine Realm, Time Universe, and Divine Realm. Xing Hui's heart stirred. Then what about the worlds outside these 3 territories? The chaotic starry sky. Yes, many great worlds call the worlds outside the 3 territories that cannot be explored as the chaotic starry sky. However, it is said that the chaotic starry sky is extremely dangerous. Between our worlds, there are at most some void storms, void turbulence, void rays, and so on. The chaotic starry sky is filled with endless destructive energy. Even if a chaotic realm paragon were to step into it, there would be no return. At this point, Taba Zhangkong hurriedly added, of course, this is just some of the knowledge I've read from books. I can't determine whether it's true or false. After all, the greatness of a primal chaos realm life form is far from what I can guess. Xing Hui nodded. After hearing Tuoba Changkong's explanation, he finally had a little understanding of this vast and boundless world. Do you know how to get to the border of the Time Universe from the chaotic divine realm where we live? Go to the Time Universe. Tuoba Changkong was slightly taken aback. He hurriedly said, No, Master. The Time Universe and our chaotic divine realm are enemies. Not to mention going to the Time Universe, even if we live in a territory near the Time Universe, we might be attacked by the Time Universe's infiltrators. Without the guidance of an almighty who could create a world with a thought, going to the border rashly will almost certainly lead to death. I am just asking for the method. Don't be impatient. The method. Tuoba Changkong hesitated for a moment, but still said truthfully, "From what I know, some powerful worlds will open up teleportation formations to the border of the time universe. To us, the time universe is extremely dangerous, but to those who could create a world with a thought or even a chaotic realm expert, it is a battlefield for battle results. However, our true Sun Great World and a few other great worlds belong to the rear, which is equivalent to some backward, decaying worlds with exhausted potential. If one wants to go to those thriving and vibrant worlds, one has to go to the Divine Path Great World first, and then from there to the more prosperous and resplendent worlds. Along the way, one has to pass through many teleportation formations. Some worlds and worlds will destroy their teleportation formations to avoid being invaded. By then, if one relies on flying, it will take decades, centuries, or even centuries. Destroy the teleportation formations, yes. Tuoba Changkong said, "This is what everyone has always done. In order to avoid being discovered and invaded, they will often shut down the teleportation formations. It will only be opened once every few hundred years, or even a few thousand years. After it is opened, it will be closed immediately. This way, the small circles can ensure their own interests. If those top experts want to go on an expedition, they will not only be resisted by the entire small circle, but also have to spend a long time on the journey. The gains do not make up for the losses. At best, they will force the small circles to pay some symbolic fees to ensure their rule over these small circles." After hearing this, Tsing Hui immediately understood how the weak worlds could survive in front of those powerful worlds. It was the distance. Just like on Earth, a powerful country with many aircraft carriers would never rob a poor, small country with only a few aircraft carriers. This was because if you sent too few troops, you might be dragged to death in that small country. If you sent too many troops, the country might be poor, and the profits from destroying their country might not even be enough to fill the hole in your military expenditure. Are all the worlds in the primal chaos divine realm like this? They are all like this. The worlds are too far apart. Tuoba Changkong sighed. It is said that our primal chaos divine realm is the largest of the three territories. Moreover, because the various mysterious laws and alchemy in our primal chaos divine realm do not make much use of it, it seems to be purely a huge advantage. As such, the degree of civilization inside is very average. Master will know this if you participate in a few more wars against the primal chaos divine realm. At the lower levels, there are mystical abilities and mystic arts. When you reach the level of creating a world with a thought, it is a competition of whose world is bigger. As for the primal chaos realm, it is said that it is a competition of who can smelt more laws and whose world is sturdy. It is clear at a glance whether it is strong or weak. Tsing Hui deeply agreed with Tuoba Changkong's words. It could be seen from the divine beast cultivation system and the immortal cultivation system. The divine beast cultivation system was simple and direct, relying completely on energy, strength, and mass to win. As for the immortal cultivation system, there were countless immortal techniques, mystical abilities, and magic treasures. Especially magic treasures, they were unparalleled weapons that could turn the tide of a battle. The divine beast bloodline cultivation system was only more ordinary in the early stages. In the later stages, it would display all sorts of miracles. In the later stages, this cultivation system would become even more powerful. Chapter 773. You mentioned that the primal chaos realm requires the fusion of nomological laws. Do you know how the cultivation of the primal chaos realm is divided? What are supremes? What are sovereigns? Our true Sun Great World has indeed produced sovereigns in its history, but, even when our Sword Astral sect was at its peak, we were unable to come into contact with such existences. We only know that sovereigns are unbelievably powerful. The power of a sovereign can radiate over a dozen worlds and dozens of great worlds. And the power of a sovereign is tens, hundreds, or even hundreds of times that of a primal chaos overlord. It is not something that the primal chaos overlords can contend against. At this point, Tuoba Changkong paused slightly. It is said that there are sovereigns in the sacred path Great World, but because our true sun Great World encountered a disaster 10,000 years ago, and the 8 primal chaos overlords all fell, the upper echelons were worried that the sacred path Great World would take advantage of our weakness to invade our true sun Great World through the teleportation array. The teleportation array between our two worlds has been closed for thousands of years, and no one knows if it is true or not. 10,000 years ago, the true sun Great World encountered a disaster. Since you have lived for 8,000 years, you should know something about this matter, right? Yes, it's related to the invasion of a world. The heaven primordial world was also involved in this war. Later, the ruler of that world led their supremes to attack the heaven primordial world. In addition, there were also people who attacked our true sun world. But for some reason, just as they were about to pour into our true sun world, the space transmitting formation was shut down. In the end, only 8 people entered our true sun world. The supremes of our true sun world risked their lives to kill the 8 invaders. Unfortunately, our true sun world also paid the price of 4 supremes. The remaining 2 supremes were too seriously injured and died in less than 100 years. Xing Hui fell silent after hearing Tuoba Changkong's words. Different worlds, different people, different standpoints, and different perspectives on the Great War 10,000 years ago would have different perspectives. However, what was certain was that the defeat of the apex supremes of the divine wilderness Great World was definitely related to the ancestors of this primal chaos organization. The spatial teleportation array suddenly collapsed, and the 8 primal chaos experts of the divine wilderness Great World were trapped in the true sun Great World. Then, they were tortured to death by the various primal chaos giants of the true sun Great World. It seems that it's not an easy task to travel from the chaotic divine realm to the universe of time. Then, it's impossible to solve the threat from the kingdom of Ikes from the outside. In the end, I have to find a way to go to the divine wilderness first, and then return to Earth. Xing Hui muttered to himself. Master. If I may ask, are you planning to head to another great world? At this moment, Taba Zhangkong suddenly said. Xing Hui's gaze landed on Tuoba Changkong. If I want to go to other worlds, is there any other way? There is one, but this method is only useful for the top sons of chaos. Moreover, there is an enormous risk involved. Taba Zhangkong said. Go ahead. Master, have you ever heard of the sensing technique that was derived from the 45th level of chaos? Of course. The sensing technique allows you to sense and communicate with living beings in alternate dimensions. These living beings are all within the range of the Master of Chaos's power. In other words, it covers the entire primal chaos divine domain. Once you sense a living being in an alternate dimension, you can directly spy on the living being in that alternate dimension and then activate the teleportation technique to teleport over. Since the living beings in alternate dimensions are often different from us humans, their location can be filled with danger. Therefore, there is a certain level of danger. At this point, Taba Zhangkong paused for a moment. I've read in the ancient records that there are living beings in alternate dimensions who specially set up traps and use this method to hunt sons of chaos so that they themselves have the qualifications to become a son of chaos. Sensing technique, living beings in alternate dimensions. Xing Hui's eyes lit up when he heard Taba Zhangkong's explanation. In addition, at this time, he also understood the reason for the teleportation technique's so-called one-world restriction. The level 1 teleportation technique could only teleport within the divine wilderness Great World, but if he could break through to the level 2 or level 3, this restriction would be extended to the 10 worlds and the 100 worlds. This method is not bad, but unfortunately, the sensing technique can only be obtained at the 45th level. Moreover, if the living beings in alternate dimensions are extremely far away from me, the teleportation technique might not be able to reach them. Xing Hui said. Therefore, this method is only useful for a very small number of people. Taba Zhangkong said awkwardly. After a moment, he glanced at Xing Hui and thought of the series of questions that Xing Hui had asked. He cautiously probed, Master, are you not from the true Sun Great World? With Taba Zhangkong's soul imprint, Xing Hui was not worried that he would betray him. He nodded. That's right, I drifted to this world by chance and I am now thinking of a way to leave and return to my world. Your world is at the intersection of the chaotic divine realm and the universe of time. That's right. Taba Zhangkong heard this and nodded. It was not that there were no cultivators like Tsing Hui who had drifted to the true Sun Great World by chance, but they were much rarer. Even the Chaos Realm giants who had invaded their world had left behind traces in the true Sun Great World. After all, an expert who could create a world with a thought was equivalent to an army. When they came, they would naturally lead an army to invade. Creating a world with a thought was already like this, let alone a Chaos Realm giant. I need to buy a large amount of spirit marrow, but I can't let anyone find out. Do you have any suggestions? Master, may I ask how much spirit marrow you are talking about? Tsing Hui pondered for a moment about how much spirit marrow he would need to nurture 20 wood spirits and finally said, let's start with 300,000. 300,000. Taba Zhangkong, who had been cautious, could not help but widen his eyes. Master, you said 300,000 spirit marrow? Not spirit crystals. You didn't hear wrong. 300,000 spirit marrow worth 300 Dao rhymes. Hiss, even though he was already mentally prepared, the wealth of his master still made Taba Zhangkong suck in a breath of cold air. Master, why do you need so much spirit marrow? I obtained some wood spirits by chance. Wood spirits need spirit chi to nurture plants, so I plan to prepare more in one go. But 300,000 spirit marrow is too much. Taba Zhangkong laughed bitterly. After a while, he said, moreover, if master wants to nurture wood spirits, you don't necessarily need spirit marrow. Azure wood spiritual liquid is more effective than spirit marrow, and the price is only a third of spirit marrow. Azure wood spiritual liquid, Tsing Hui had never heard of such a treasure before and was immediately interested. Is this a product unique to the Tsangshuan continent? Yes. Azure wood spiritual liquid can only be nurtured by Tsangshuan ancient trees that are 10,000 years old and above. The price is not high. 30 cubes of azure wood spiritual liquid is about 1 Dao rhyme, but its effect on wood spirits is comparable to 3 Dao rhymes of spirit marrow. I'll buy it. Tsing Hui waved his hand. I plan to buy 100 Dao rhymes of azure wood spiritual liquid. Where can I buy it? Mountain Leaf City's Gu family. The Gu family has the largest Tsangshuan wood forest in the Tsangshuan continent. Speaking of this, Taba Zhangkong seemed to have thought of something and paused. But the Gu family's reputation is a little bad. There have been several rumors of them bullying their customers. Therefore, master should go to a few more places. Although these places can't provide 100 years of azure wood spiritual liquid in one go, the output will not be less than 10 Dao rhymes. Okay, let's not delay. Where's the nearest place? Tsing Hui asked. The cultivation path he had set revolved around the dragonization fruit tree. Now that there was a way to accelerate the ripening of the dragonization fruit tree, he naturally couldn't wait. Blackwood City's Zish family. Let's go. Tsing Hui immediately got up and headed to the Zish family under Taba Zhangkong's lead. The azure wood spiritual liquid was the companion of the ancient Tsangshuan wood. Although the ancient Tsangshuan wood was valuable, it was only useful to cultivators below the shattering vacuum realm. As a result, the Zish family, who made a living by selling the azure wood spiritual liquid, couldn't be called a top clan in Blackwood City. However, because there were several great figures in the Zish family who had cultivated the divine true body, they also had a lot of power and influence in Blackwood City. When Tsing Hui and the others landed in the Zish family's castle, they saw a large building that stretched for nearly 100 kilometers. Moreover, the entire building was protected by a 16th-order formation. Even if a maverick expert rashly broke in, there was a possibility that they would end up with a grievance. The arrival of Taba Zhangkong, an expert at the peak-shattering vacuum realm, naturally attracted the attention of the Zish family. Soon, an elder of the shattering vacuum realm came over to welcome them. I am Zish Xing, the 12th elder of the Zish family. Is there anything the Zish family can help you with? Master has naturally come to the Zish family for the azure wood spiritual liquid. How much azure wood spiritual liquid does your Zish family have? We want it all. Taba Zhangkong said indifferently. Hearing that Taba Zhangkong wanted to buy all the azure wood spiritual liquid of the Zish family, Zish Xing snorted coldly in his heart, but on the surface, he still smiled and said, "Our Zish family sells the azure wood spiritual liquid for a living and has accumulated a lot over the years. Not to mention a lot, we still have more than 40 cubes. Sir, do you really want to buy it all at once?" "Only 40 cubes." Xing Hui frowned. This amount was a little. However, it was better than nothing. "Prepare everything for me. I will pay with the Dao vessel. Give me an accurate amount." Xing Hui said indifferently. "You want to buy it all and pay with the Dao vessel?" Seeing that Xing Hui and Taba Zhangkong did not seem to be joking, Zish Xing's face suddenly changed and he hurriedly gestured with his hand. "Honored guests have arrived, honored guests have arrived. Please come in, please come in. If 2 honored guests are willing to trade with the Dao vessel, our Zish family will definitely give you a satisfactory and affordable price. Quickly prepare it." Xing Hui said. Yes. I will have someone prepare 46 cubes of azure wood spiritual liquid." Leading the way, Zish Xing had already sent a message and the entire Zish family was busy. To the side, Taba Zhangkong hesitated for a moment and whispered, "Master, in fact, if we exchange the Dao vessel for spiritual marrow, it will be more affordable. The more procedures there are, the more troublesome and risky it is. The azure wood spiritual liquid I want to trade is not a small amount. I don't want to have any trouble along the way. Besides, it's only a difference of 2 or 3 Dao runes. I can afford to lose it." Hearing Xing Hui's words, Taba Zhangkong did not know how to respond. Soon, an old man of the Zish family with divine true body cultivation had personally come to Xing Hui and handed over the 46 cubes of azure wood spiritual liquid to Xing Hui. He also gave Xing Hui a lifetime VIP card of the Zish Chamber of Commerce. His attitude was extremely warm. When Xing Hui left, even if he and Taba Zhangkong had already flown away, the Zish family's old ancestor and elders still watched Xing Hui and did not leave for a long time. Their service attitude could be said to be like a guest at home, and no one could find any fault with it. Chapter 774. The 46 cubes of azure wood essence were immediately transferred into Xing Hui's personal space for the Wood Spirit Empress to absorb. Just as Tuoba Changkong had said, the Wood Spirit Empress absorbed the azure wood essence several times faster than the spirit marrow. She had already given birth to a wood spirit after absorbing less than a third of the 46 cubes of azure wood essence. At this rate, if he could purchase 300 cubes of azure wood essence, it wouldn't be difficult for the Wood Spirit Empress to give birth to another 20 wood spirits. Very good. Xing Hui's eyes flashed. Let's go to the next place. Who's next? There are 3 other places in Blackwood City that also produce azure wood essence, but their output isn't high. The 3 places together probably only have a dozen to 20 cubes of azure wood essence. The next place is the Purple Flame sect of Hundred Flowers City, but our relationship with Hundred Flowers City isn't very good, and we don't have a teleportation formation. It's nearly 1,000,000 kilometers to fly there. While speaking, Tuoba Changkong's gaze fell on Xing Hui. If my lord finds it troublesome, we can take a flying boat. The Tsangshuan continent has a special flying force and it's very fast. It can travel 1,000,000 kilometers in 2 or 3 days. 2 or 3 days. There's no need. We can fly there directly. Xing Hui said. Fly there? Tuoba Changkong looked at Xing Hui and had no choice but to say, then I'll fly with master. Just follow me. Xing Hui had already shot into the air, piercing through the void in the blink of an eye and shooting into the firmament. He could fly over 100 kilometers in a breath by operating his divine ability chasing light. As his understanding of the laws of space grew more profound, he could already travel over 1,000 kilometers in 4 or 5 breaths. A breath was about 2 to 3 seconds, so 1,000 kilometers in 5 breaths was a speed of 240,000 kilometers per hour. This speed wasn't inferior to any vacuum-shattering expert. In fact, if he operated his divine ability to the limit, his speed would be even faster. Tuoba Changkong, who followed closely behind Xing Hui, felt somewhat helpless at Xing Hui's stubbornness. However, when Xing Hui really displayed his speed, he was slightly stunned, especially when he started to travel at full speed, only to be able to keep up with Xing Hui's speed. Shock and solemnity appeared in his eyes. This speed, this level of use and comprehension of the law of space, compared to me, a vacuum-shattering expert, is not inferior. No, in terms of comprehension of the law, he should be above me, but he is a little inexperienced in using it. What is more frightening is that even when he is traveling through the void, he does not reveal any aura. This method of hiding aura is terrifying. If he wants to turn into an assassin and quietly assassinate someone, who below the divine real body can stop him? Thinking of this, Tuoba Changkong, who was originally somewhat dismissive of his master and only served him because his soul brand was controlled by him, finally calmed down and truly felt a trace of reverence. With Xing Hui's astonishing speed, 1 million kilometers was traversed in less than half a day, and this was because Xing Hui had stopped and waited for Tuoba Changkong for a period of time. Xing Hui had raised his recovery ability to the 10th level, but Tuoba Changkong had not. Although the true Sun Great World was close to the Divine Wilderness Great World and could be considered rich compared to ordinary worlds of the same level, Tuoba Changkong, who was equivalent to a Golden Core expert of the Divine Wilderness Great World, was only at the 12th level of Chaos. This was also because he was the Great Elder of the Sword Astral Sect. Some vacuum-shattering experts were not even at the 10th level of Chaos, which was even more unbearable. After realizing that he had become a burden to Xing Hui in terms of speed, Tuoba Changkong's old face turned red, which was a rare sight. Since then, in front of Xing Hui, he no longer dared to show the slightest bit of respect on the surface and arrogance in his heart. After traversing 1 million kilometers, Xing Hui and Tuoba Changkong soon arrived at the Purple Flame sect. After spending 11 Taoist rhymes to buy 34 cubic meters of azure wood spiritual liquid, they set off again and went straight to another destination. In 5 days, Xing Hui and Tuoba Changkong had already visited 6 houses and bought a total of 230 cubic meters of azure wood spiritual liquid. And in these 5 days, with the support of a large amount of azure wood spiritual liquid, the wood spirit queen also maintained the speed of 1 wood spirit per day, constantly breeding new wood spirits. It seemed that the number of 20 wood spirits was just around the corner. However, the two of them ran around and bought azure wood spiritual liquid. In just 5 days, they had spent more than 70 Taoist rhymes on items that carried Taoist rhymes, which finally attracted the attention of some people. Because this matter happened in the circle of azure wood spiritual liquid sales, the first to target Xing Hui and Tuoba Changkong was a sect called the Giant God Sect. The Giant God Sect was one of the many small sects in the Tsangshuan continent. Besides the sect master, Taoist Giant Wood, who had cultivated the divine true body, the rest of the elders were all at the shattering void stage. The Giant God Sect also sold azure wood spiritual liquid, but because the production was low, Xing Hui did not come. Even so, he was still the first to notice the turmoil in the azure wood spiritual liquid market. According to the direction and pattern of Xing Hui and Tuoba Changkong's progress, the sect master of the Giant God Sect immediately gathered the 6 most trusted elders in the sect and went to Xing Hui and the others' next destination, the Cloud Mist Secret Forest, which was a path that the Sun family must pass through. They quietly lurked there, waiting for their prey to take the bait. However, just as they entered the Cloud Mist Secret Forest, a figure directly stepped out from inside. "You're from the Giant God Sect. Get lost." At the sight of the figure, the sect master of the Giant God Sect, Taoist Giant Wood's expression changed. "You're a grand elder of the Gu clan Senate, Gu Qi Jin." Taoist Giant Wood, don't think that I don't know why you're here. To tell you the truth, our Gu clan has already set our eyes on that prey. If you don't want your Giant God Sect to be destroyed, you'd better leave obediently. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. Gu Qijin said sternly. You. Daoist giant Wood's expression turned very ugly as he looked at Gu Qijin. Gu Qijin, in terms of cultivation, you've only broken through to the divine true body stage a little more than 10 years ago, and you've even cultivated the Jiuying true body. How can you compare to my Ting serpent true body? In my opinion, this prey should be divided equally between our two clans. When the time comes, we'll each get half of the azure with spiritual liquid and the Tao carrying object. Oh. You want to use your cultivation to suppress me? Fine, I'll give up on this target. However, if you dare to intercept my Gu clan's prey, your giant god sect should consider carefully whether you can bear the price. You. A cold light flashed in Daoist giant Wood's eyes. The giant god sect was just a small sect, and he was the only divine true body expert in the sect. However, the Gu clan was a hegemon. Although they couldn't be compared to the top 16 forces of the Tsangshuan continent, they had a reigning body expert and could be considered the overlord of the nearby territories. If they really wanted to deal with the giant god sect, there was no need for their reigning body ancestor to take action. Just 2 or 3 grand elders who had cultivated the divine true body would be enough to uproot the giant god sect. Why? Perhaps you can try and see if you can keep me here. If you can successfully silence me, no one will know who did it. After Gu Qijin finished speaking, he seemed to have thought of something. Right, you have to defeat me as soon as possible. Otherwise, if I spread the news in the Chaos Divine Hall, your giant god sect won't be able to escape the fate of destruction. Daoist giant Wood glared at Gu Qijin unwillingly. In the end, he could only wave his hands sullenly. Let's go. A wise man submits to circumstances. Farewell, I won't see you off. Gu Qijin sneered with a faint smile on his face. After breaking through to the divine true body realm and becoming a member of the Senate, he could finally hold his head up high in his family. Therefore, he had enjoyed using his family's power to crush those small factions for the past decade or so. He looked at those who were usually stronger than him but dared not speak out of fear of the Gu family's power. Especially when, he still had a trump card up his sleeve. Sect Master, are we just going to let it go like this? Daoist giant would turn to leave. A vanquishing vacuum rank elder beside him asked somewhat unwillingly. Let it go. How can we just let it go like this? The Gu family wants to monopolize that prey. Dream on. The azure wood essence on that prey is already worth more than 70 Daoist rhymes, not to mention that he obviously has other Daoist treasures on him. That's a profit of nearly 100 Daoist rhymes. It's worth it even if the giant god sect's foundation is sacrificed. After all, the giant god sect was single-handedly raised by me. As long as I, the sect master, am still around, the giant god sect won't be destroyed. Then sect master's plan, we'll go around the cloud mist woods and intercept them in front. Daoist giant Wood said without hesitation. All right. The elders who had come with him all agreed solemnly. Together with Daoist giant Wood, they quickly went around the cloud mist woods and headed in the direction of Tsinghui. However, before they could completely go around the cloud mist woods, a voice suddenly rang out from behind Daoist giant Wood. Ha, I was just considering whether or not to kill you. After all, the soaring serpent's true form is adept at flight and escape is a little troublesome. Who would have thought that you would be so stubborn as to appear in front of me for the second time? There's a path to heaven, but you refuse to take it, and instead barge into the gates of hell. Daoist giant Wood whipped his head around and glared at Gu Qijin, who was following closely behind him. Gu Qijin, do you really think that I won't dare kill you just because you're from the Gu family? Even if I kill you, I'll just have to flee to other continents. Do you really think the Gu family can do anything to me? Ha, we'll only know whether we can do anything to you after we fight. I, Gu Qijin, spent 1,800 years to advance from the immortality stage to the divine stage. However, it only took me 100 years to advance from the peak of the domain stage to the divine true body stage. Do you really think that's because I've been accumulating strength for a long time? Even if you're slightly stronger than me in terms of cultivation base, it's just a matter of how determined I am to kill you. After Gu Qijin finished speaking, he immediately attacked. A ball-like treasure rapidly expanded in his hand. Soon, it formed a 30-kilometer-wide barrier, enveloping Taoist giant wood within it. The ancient divine world? Is that a fragment of the ancient divine world? You actually have such a treasure. You must have obtained the treasure from this fragment. No wonder you could attain the divine true body in such a short time. The fragment of the ancient divine world is the key to opening the divine kingdom. Countless big shots are trying their best to collect it. Aren't you afraid that others will find out and kill you? Taoist giant Wood's face was filled with shock and anger when he saw the treasure that trapped him. Naturally, no one will know after I kill you. However, before the battle between the two of them could completely erupt, two figures swiftly arrived from the horizon. It was Tsing Hui and Tuoba Changkong. Chapter 775. Just now. I think I heard something about the ancient god world fragment. Tuoba Changkong arrived on his sword. Attracted by Gu Qijin's words, he couldn't help but slow down. The ancient god world? Yes, it came from the ancient over-god. An ancient god who fell in our true sun great world 3,000 years ago. His status was comparable to the Master of Gods, who was at the second tier of the chaotic realm. It was said that the ancient god world master was blessed by the Master of Gods, and the power of his god kingdom could slightly interfere with the power of the Chaos Temple, making it difficult for cultivators trapped in the ancient god world to sense the presence of the Chaos Temple for a short period of time. But that's not the point. The point is, if we can gather the ancient god world fragment, we can open the god kingdom of the fallen over-god and obtain the endless treasures in it. With the wealth of an over-god, the treasures in it would be enough for someone to cultivate to the level of world creation with a thought, or even for someone who could reach the chaotic realm. Tsing Hui's eyes lit up when he heard this. At this moment, Gu Qijin and Giant Wood's spiritual master, who were fighting in the void, noticed Tsing Hui and Tuoba Changkong. Gu Qijin's expression changed when he saw the two of them. How could they be so fast? According to our informants, they would need at least an hour to reach here. Gu Qijin, the news of the ancient god world fragment has already spread. There will definitely be top powers who can create a world with a thought coming to capture you and force you out of the ancient god world fragment. I'd like to see what you're going to do then. You've really shot yourself in the foot with what you've done today, Giant Wood's spiritual master could not help but laugh when he saw Tsing Hui and Tuoba Changkong appear. Damn it! Gu Qijin's eyes flashed with anger as he glanced coldly at Giant Wood's spiritual master. It doesn't matter if the news gets out or not, you're dead meat. I'll use the ancient god world fragment to trap you and deal with the two of them, then I'll deal with you. It doesn't matter if they spread the news before they die, because no one will believe the words of the dead. With that, he turned and shot up into the air, heading straight for Tsing Hui. Master, leave quickly, I'll stop him. Tuoba Changkong saw Gu Qijin coming for him and immediately shouted as he rushed forward. Old man, you're courting death. Gu Qijin growled. In the next moment, a shadow of a Jiao-ing appeared behind him. The Jiao-ing quickly entered Gu Qijin's body. With the power of the Jiao-ing, Gu Qijin's body immediately grew. In the blink of an eye, he grew from an ordinary man of about 1.78 meters to a giant of about 200 meters. Furthermore, 8 python-like heads grew from his back. His body was also covered in scales. He looked like a terrifying half-human, half-nining monster. Jiao-ing True Body. This was the Jiao-ing True Body formed by the divine True Body realm. To use the Jiao-ing True Body to deal with a void-shattering realm cultivator, Gu Qijin was determined to kill Tuoba Changkong and Tsing Hui. Roar! Just as Gu Qijin transformed into the Jiao-ing True Body, Giant Wood's spiritual master, who was trapped in the ancient god world fragment, also roared. His body grew explosively, and he grew into a 240-meter giant. Unlike the Jiuying true body, Giant with spiritual master's divine true body had a layer of Xuanwu tortoise shell on his back, and a thick tail grew out of his back. He used both his hands and tail to attack the ancient god world fragment crazily. He wanted to take advantage of Gu Qijin's distraction to tear the ancient god world fragment apart and escape. Void collapse skill. Break for me. Tuoba Changkong faced Gu Qijin, who had transformed into the Jiuying true body. Divine aura surged from his body, and as his power skyrocketed, he also used his own super ability. The space in a radius of several thousand meters in front of him collapsed instantly, as if a hole had been swallowed. Any living being or matter in this area was torn to pieces by the spatial storm that spread out from the collapsed space. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. Gu Qijin's eyes flashed with a trace of disdain. One of the 8 python heads behind him suddenly hissed, and circles of invisible ripples spread out, directly stopping Tuoba Changkong's void-shattering realm attack, and causing the spatial storm inside to freeze. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he directly crossed the range of Taba Zhangkong's divine ability attack and arrived in front of Taba Zhangkong. Several giant python heads swooped down at the same time. The pure explosive power swept through space and swept towards Taba Zhangkong in an instant. Pure speed and power were displayed vividly on him. Bang! Tuoba Changkong tried his best to evade, but he was only able to last for a few moments before a giant serpent's head locked onto him. Blazing and berserk flames of destruction shot out from the giant serpent's head, turning into a giant rainbow of flames that could burn the sky and boil the sea. Not only did it completely engulf Tuoba Changkong, but the scattered power also rushed into the ground without any reduction in momentum, directly burning the ground within a radius of several dozen kilometers to ashes. If it weren't for the many ancient Sangxuan trees planted in the area, the flames would have wiped out everything within a radius of several dozen kilometers. The power of the divine true body level, Xing Hui's expression was a little grave. He was confident in his battle strength, but without using the transformation art, he was on par with Tuoba Changkong, and this was even after taking into account his advantage of the chaotic stage. But now, Tuoba Changkong, who was at the peak of the shattering void stage, was directly defeated by Gu Qijin, and was almost burned to ashes by the torrent of flames. If it were him, the result wouldn't be much better. With this thought, his figure flashed, and he appeared beside Tuoba Changkong, who had escaped from the torrent of flames. Tuoba Changkong's entire body seemed to have been burned to charcoal, and he shouted, "Enter my personal space, and I'll take you away." "Leave? Do you think you can leave?" Gu Qijin, who had transformed into his divine true body, roared. The 8 heads behind him spewed out frost and fire power at the same time, bringing with them a monstrous power that overturned the sky. Great Expansion Sword Qi. Go! Xing Hui pointed his finger, and 49 Great Expansion Sword Qi roared out from his body, trying to crush the frost and fire power that Gu Qijin spewed out. But when his Great Expansion Sword Qi, which was so powerful that it could tear apart domains as easily as taking something out of his pocket, slashed into the frost and fire power, it was like an iron sword slashing into a diamond. It instantly collapsed, sputtering into countless scattered sword Qi. Apart from slightly slowing down the power of ice and fire, the 49 sword Qis didn't cause any damage to the power of ice and fire. This power, Xing Hui's eyes narrowed slightly, and the scarlet abyss sword in his hand slashed out. Solar Eclipse. Suddenly, as if Tuoba Changkong had used the void collapse art, a pitch-black sphere seemed to appear in front of him, constantly destroying the frost and fire power that was surging towards him. Unfortunately, it was still useless. The power of a divine true body expert was far above that of a shattering void stage expert. That pitch-black sphere swallowed less than a third of the frost and fire power before collapsing on its own. The remaining frost and fire power continued to surge down without slowing down. But after this obstruction, the heavily injured Tuoba Changkong finally escaped into Xing Hui's personal space. Without any hesitation, Xing Hui used the halting art and the teleportation art. Accompanied by a spatial ripple, his figure completely disappeared in the torrent of fire and frost that followed closely behind. Sensing that Xing Hui's aura had disappeared, Gu Qijin was slightly stunned and did not react for a moment. The next moment, he seemed to have thought of something, and his face was filled with shock. The teleportation art. That was, the teleportation art? The teleportation art that can only be used when one is at level 30 of the chaos stage? This little thief's chaos stage is actually at such a high level. Thinking of this, he was both shocked and furious. It had to be mentioned that even among existences who could create worlds with a single thought, not all of them could reach the 30th level of chaos. Most of the peak experts who could create worlds with a single thought were actually only at the 29th level of chaos, while a small number of them were only at the 24th or 25th level. It was exactly because of this that Gu Qijin had never considered the possibility of two veneer-shattering experts possessing a teleportation technique. As a result, when Qing Su used a teleportation technique to escape earlier, he was actually still studying the surroundings carefully, trying to understand what Qing Su had used to hide himself. He did not connect it to a teleportation technique at all, which resulted in him missing the best opportunity to pursue Qing Su. Looking at the empty void now, and thinking of the news about the ancient god world that was about to be exposed, Gu Qijin was shocked and furious. He fiercely turned to Daoist Giant Wood, who was bombarding the ancient god world, and said, "If my ancient god world's power wasn't hindered by you, how could I let a cooked duck fly away? That kid seems to only be at the vacuum-shattering realm, but he can raise the level of chaos to level 30. He must have a big secret. It's all because of you that I missed this great opportunity. Go to hell." Whoosh! In a wilderness that was over 1,000,000 kilometers away from the Cloud Mist's secret forest, there was a flash of spatial fluctuation, and a figure immediately appeared. It was Xing Hui. As Xing Hui appeared, he immediately waved his hand, and the charred Tuoba Changkong appeared in front of him. However, what happened earlier was just far too shocking for Taba Changkong, such that he did not even have the time to check on his wounds when he suddenly appeared. Instead, he looked at Qing Su in shock. "Master. Why, you've actually increased your personal space to the 10th level. Level 10 personal space is very useful for breaking through to the world creation stage. Why not?" Xing Hui said, and at the same time added, "Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Alright, let's find a place to heal." Tuoba Changkong looked around, and when he realized that they had returned to the forest half a day ago, he seemed to have guessed something, and his eyes were filled with shock again. Could it be a teleportation technique that only level 30 Sons of Chaos could use? However, Xing Hui had already warned him, so he did not dare to ask again. He could only suppress his thoughts and heal his injuries. Divine True Body, While Tuoba Changkong was healing his injuries, Xing Hui raised his head and looked in Gu Qijin's direction. In his first battle in the True Sun Great World, he was forced to use teleportation to escape. He was really in a sorry state. However, the scene in front of him clearly warned him that this was no longer the divine wilderness where he could roam freely. Instead, it was the True Sun Great World where experts were as common as clouds, and there were even Chaos Realm giants overseeing it. Chapter 776. 3 days passed very quickly. Because the level of recovery was not high, it took Tuoba Changkong 3 days to completely recover, which left Xing Hui somewhat speechless. "Recovered? Your subordinate has already recovered. Thank you for saving me, Master." Tuoba Changkong expressed his heartfelt gratitude. "You don't have to thank me," Xing Hui said, then asked, "In your opinion, what is the cultivation level of the man who cultivated the divine true body 3 days ago?" "He should have reached a certain level of maturity in the divine true body realm. This can be seen from the form of his divine true body." "Oh. Tell me about it." Strictly speaking, the divine true body realm can be divided into 4 small stages. The first small stage is exactly the same as the form of a divine beast. This form is also called the initial stage of the divine true body realm. After that is the second stage, which is half human and half beast. The 2 experts of the divine true body realm 3 days ago belong to this stage. This realm can be easily reached as long as one has enough resources and time. It is just a matter of how much time is spent. Xing Hui nodded. According to his understanding, the cultivation of the divine true body realm was also linked to resources. Experts of the third stage of the divine true body realm will have some characteristics of divine beasts on their bodies, but they are not very obvious. As for experts of the fourth stage of the divine true body realm, apart from being enlarged, there is almost no difference between them and humans. Each of the four stages of the divine true body realm has a significant difference. A higher stage can basically allow one to fight 2 or even 3 opponents at the same time. The divine true body in the form of a divine beast is much stronger than the divine true body in the form of a divine beast. Correspondingly, the amount of resources required increases exponentially. Just like the golden elixir realm of the saint realm back then, out of 100 cultivators of the divine true body realm, there is not necessarily one who has cultivated the true divine beast true body. I remember that if one does not cultivate the true divine beast true body, it is impossible to step into the chaotic realm, right? Xing Hui had heard the 7-star sword spirit say that the so-called laws of this world were transformed from the 12 divine beast ancestors. In other words, only the bloodline of the 12 divine beast ancestors could be recognized by these laws and step into the chaotic first realm. Primal chaos realm, Taba Zhangkong laughed bitterly. Chaotic realm. That's a top figure. Most people don't even dare to think about it. In fact, many experts with divine true body cultivate to this realm not because of the amazing battle power gained from this realm, but because of the increase in lifespan brought by this realm. Just like the golden elixir realm in the saint realm. Once one enters the divine true body realm, their lifespan is often in the tens of thousands. For some long-lived species like Xuanwu, even living for 100,000 years is not an extravagant hope. Xing Hui nodded slightly. No wonder he felt that there seemed to be too many practitioners of the divine true body realm in this world. At least, compared to the divine true body realm, there were at most 2 or 3 times more practitioners of the vacuum-shattering realm. It was a complete waste of the difference between the two realms and the difficulty of cultivation. If you've rested enough, let's continue our journey. Again. Tuoba Zhangkong could not help but be slightly stunned by Xing Hui's words. It was quite a while before he said, "Master, I'm afraid that we'll have to consider this matter at length. I think that Gu Qijin will definitely not let us off so easily." Xing Hui frowned. Would he dare to take advantage of us? It's not that he wants to take advantage of us. It's just that, he has the ancient god fragment and has to think of a way to get rid of us as soon as possible to prevent the news from spreading. Tuoba Zhangkong laughed bitterly. After hearing Tuoba Zhangkong's words, Xing Hui fell silent. This matter is indeed troublesome. Actually, it's not really troublesome. The key is what you think. If you don't want to plot against the ancient overgod's kingdom, you just have to leak the news and someone will naturally go and deal with Gu Qijin. By then, he will be in so much trouble that he won't have the time to deal with us. I'm afraid that after his ancient god fragment is taken away by a top expert, he will still bear a grudge against us and attack us. As long as we hide in Qiu Dao, they won't dare to act rashly. After all, Qiu Dao is backed by a top expert who can create a world with a single thought. It's not something that a small Gu family can afford to offend. Xing Hui really didn't want to get too entangled with the Gu family. At the same time, he didn't want to waste too much time on Gu Qijin. What he wanted to do was to gather resources as quickly as possible so that he could obtain the power to create a world with a single thought. But now, it was Gu Qijin who didn't want to let them go. Actually, if you're willing, there's another way to solve your problem. Oh. What way? Assassination. I understand. Xing Hui fell silent. Strike first and gain the upper hand. But no matter what, if he did that, he would form a feud. By then, if I'm not strong enough, it's really hard to move around. Especially in the true Sun Great World. If I hastily use the shape-shifting technique and people find out that my chaotic level has reached level 50, I'll definitely be in big trouble. By then, those who have their eyes on me won't be as simple as a divine true body. This was also the reason why Tsing Hui didn't use the shape-shifting technique when facing Gu Qijin. Although the shape-shifting technique gave him the ability to fight against a divine true body expert, it was still far from being able to kill a divine true body expert. Unless his life essence metamorphosed to the divine beast level, or his physique reached level 13 and he forcibly transformed into the omnipotent divine beast Kunpeng, he really couldn't guarantee that he would be able to kill a divine true body expert. Since it's dangerous for us to go to those small forces to buy the Azure Wood Essence, then we'll just go ahead and ask them to prepare the Azure Wood Essence. Then, we'll ask the Voidwalkers to make the transaction through the Chaos Temple. This method is feasible, but it'll cost a lot to ask the Voidwalkers to make the transaction. Without more than 10 Taoist rhymes, the Voidwalkers may not be willing to make the transaction. Don't worry, I'll take care of this matter. Just use your channels to post the request for the Azure Wood Essence. We won't make the transaction if it's less than 100 cubes of Azure Wood Essence. Moreover, the other party must have a certain level of credibility. Tsing Hui said. Tuoba Changkong's heart ached when he heard this. 100 cubes of Azure Wood Essence was only about 30 Taoist rhymes, and asking the Voidwalkers to make the transaction would cost at least 10 Taoist rhymes. In other words, the handling fee accounted for 1/3 of the total transaction. This kind of transaction, it was a huge loss. Only someone like his master, who didn't lack money, would choose this kind of transaction. Let's go back. Tsing Hui said, then turned around and flew in the direction of Blackwood City. Since his skills were inferior, he could only stay at home for the time being. A few days later, Tsing Hui returned to the East Sun Peak. Meanwhile, Taba Changkong was in charge of distributing the information. Due to the fact that green ruins required a rather large amount, there were not a lot of merchants who could actually afford to sell his Azure Wood Essence. Fortunately, he had offered a price of 100 cubes of Azure Wood Essence, which was 35 cubes of Dao-bearing items. Obviously, countless people began to think of ways to collect Azure Wood Essence from everywhere. On the 4th day after the news was released, Tsing Hui finally found the first seller. Relying on the mystery of standing straight and shadowless, he directly asked for the trader's coordinates and used the incarnation technique to simulate a middle-aged man to descend on the transaction site. Because he only chose an ordinary incarnation and didn't descend on others, everyone present could clearly see that he was an incarnation. I've been entrusted to make a transaction. Who is the trader? Tsing Hui said slowly with an indifferent expression. There were a total of 3 traders in front of him, and the one with the highest cultivation was only at the vacuum-shattering realm. When Tsing Hui's incarnation descended, the 3 of them carefully sized him up, as if trying to figure out his origin. What? I've heard that your Twilight Merchant Guild has been in business for more than 3,000 years. You're not toying with my employer, are you? When the time comes, even I won't agree to it, let alone my employer. As Tsing Hui spoke, he waved his hand in the air, and all kinds of mysteries were displayed in his hand. Even though he'd only sent an ordinary incarnation, the faintly revealed comprehension of laws made the 3 vacuum-shattering realm powerhouses widen their eyes. The man in front of them had at least reached the unrivaled realm in his comprehension of laws. Furthermore, considering that he could summon an incarnation technique that was at least at the 25th level of the Chaos Realm, he was one of the best in the unrivaled realm. We wouldn't dare. Please take a look, Senior. The man in the lead hurriedly said and took out 100 cubes of Azure Wood Essence. Very good. Tsing Hui judged the amount of Azure Wood Essence, took out the item with 35 Taoist rhymes, and stored it in his personal space. He then said directly, the transaction is complete. Farewell. Having said that, his incarnation disappeared without a trace. Almost as soon as his incarnation disappeared, a man with a gloomy expression walked out from the shadows. It was Gu Qijin, the new elder of the Gu clan. Sir, it's not that we don't want to help you stop him. It's just that there's no point in stopping a mere incarnation. Moreover, as you've seen, based on his comprehension of laws, it's very likely that he's an important figure in the unrivaled realm. Even the Gu clan can't afford to offend such an important figure. All right, I understand. Gu Qijin said impatiently. Looking in the direction Sing Hui's incarnation had left, he pondered with a gloomy expression. It seems like this kid doesn't intend to spread the news. Obviously, he also wants to obtain the ancient divine realm fragment. Or perhaps he's afraid of the Gu clan's power and doesn't want to offend the Gu clan over such a small matter. In that case, for the time being, news about the ancient divine realm should be safe. Thinking of this, he let out a slight sigh of relief, but he was also a little angry. That brat is the bishop of Taoism seeking, and the place where he lives is guarded by several experts at the divine true body level. There is also a reigning realm elder living in seclusion. With my ability, it's impossible to sneak in and kill him. But I'll let you live for a while longer. With the resources I've obtained, I'll have a high chance of advancing to the reigning realm in 30 to 40 years if I'm fast, and 60 to 70 years if I'm slow. Chapter 777. A total of 562 cubes. It shouldn't be difficult to use this amount to breed 30 wood spirits. As long as these 30 wood spirits are bred, in addition to the original ones, the growth time of the dragonization fruit tree will be shortened to 6 years. Once the dragonization fruit tree matured, it would bear dozens of dragonization fruits. After consuming those dragonization fruits, Sing Hui's physique would not only rise to the 13th order, but could even rise to the 14th order in the next 1 or 2 years. In addition to the dragonization fruit's enhancement of life essence, he was confident that he would be able to fight against experts who had cultivated the divine true body with just the 49 great diffraction sword chi. Has anyone contacted us recently to sell the dragonization fruit tree spiritual liquid? Sing Hui paid attention to the growth of the dragonization fruit tree while asking Tuoba Changkong, who was in charge of the Eastern Sun Peak. At present, we've bought most of the dragonization fruit tree spiritual liquid in the entire Tsangshuan continent. Other than the Gu clan, who may have some, we've contacted all the other clans that sell it. Taba Zhangkong replied respectfully. Is there no more? Sing Hui looked at the few dozen wood spirits in his personal space with some regret. If the number of wood spirits could exceed 100. Master, in fact, not long ago, the deacon of the Scarlet Jade Chamber of Commerce sent someone to invite us to attend an auction in Hundred Flowers City. There were many treasures for sale in that auction, including a heavenly spirit fruit tree and a 100,000-year crystal wood core. The heavenly spirit fruit tree is a companion fruit tree and has the effect of transforming spirit energy for cultivation. The wood spirits can feed on the yuan qi transformed by the heavenly spirit fruit tree, and the crystal wood core is one of the top treasures of heaven and earth. Although its effect on wood spirits is not as good as the dragonization fruit tree, it is much better than spirit marrow. Crystal wood core. There's actually such a thing. I remember that the crystal wood core's effect is almost twice as good as spirit marrow, right? Sing Hui quickly asked. Yes, but compared to the dragonization fruit tree, the crystal wood core's price-performance ratio is lower. Moreover, each crystal wood core is expensive. At this point, Tuoba Changkong had already vaguely guessed what Sing Hui was going to say. As expected. Sing Hui waved his hand. That's not a problem. As long as we have the crystal wood core, it's fine. When will the Scarlet Jade Chamber of Commerce's auction begin? We are currently preparing for it. It will be officially held in half a year. Half a year. Sing Hui frowned. Too slow. I remember that the Scarlet Jade Chamber of Commerce has a good reputation. Yes, the Scarlet Jade Chamber of Commerce is one of the top 3 chambers of commerce in the Tsangshuan continent, and even in the entire True Sun Great World. There has almost never been a scandal, and even if there were 1 or 2 times, it would be proven to be false accusations. Good. Go get me the coordinates of the Scarlet Jade Trade Union. We'll head there right away. Now. Taba Zhangkong was slightly startled. Isn't it a little too early? There's still half a year before the auction. I don't want to wait half a year. Go and ask for the coordinates. Yes. Tuoba Zhangkong helplessly agreed and quickly did as he was told. Not long after, a set of mental coordinates was sent to Sing Hui. After obtaining the coordinates, Xinghui didn't waste any time and directly used an incarnation technique to send down a clone to the Scarlet Jade Trade Union in Hundred Flowers City. Because this trip had to be kept secret, he didn't bring Taba Zhangkong with him. Even so, when he arrived at the Scarlet Jade Trade Union in the form of a clone, he was warmly welcomed by the people of the Scarlet Jade Trade Union. After all, to be able to use an incarnation technique, one had to be at least at the 25th order of the Chaos stage. According to the standard of the Sons of Chaos in the True Sun Great World, a 25th order Son of Chaos had to be at least at the reigning realm. Even if the Scarlet Jade Trade Union had a world creation expert behind them, they still didn't dare to underestimate such a character. Welcome, Senior. I am a Senior Deacon of the Scarlet Jade Trade Union, Zichuan. Is there anything I can help you with? Big business has come knocking. Get your chairman to talk to me. Xinghui had the experience of pretending to be a big shot in the divine wilderness world. At this moment, he had the attitude of a reigning realm expert. He didn't even care about this divine true body expert called Zichuan. He didn't look like he was forced to flee in a sorry state by Gu Qijin not long ago. Yes. Please wait a moment, Senior. Our chairman Yunhe is already on his way. Please come in. As Zichuan spoke, he led Xinghui directly to the highest private room. Not only was this private room isolated by a 15th order array, but the bonsai plants planted inside were also the best of the best. Even if Xinghui only stepped in with his incarnation, he still felt refreshed. Not long after Zichuan led Xinghui to the private room, a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 50s walked in from outside. He smiled and cupped his hands, saying, I am the vice chairman of the Scarlet Jade Trade Union, Yunhe. Greetings, sir. May I know your name? My name is just a code. Just call me Yuqing. Xinghui said, I'm here for the Heavenly Spirit Fruit Tree and the Crystal Wood Core of your trade union. The Heavenly Spirit Fruit Tree and the Crystal Wood Core. Yunhe was slightly startled. Then, a look of embarrassment appeared on his face. These two treasures will be auctioned by our Chamber of Commerce in half a year's time. They are not for sale at present. However, if Mr. Yuqing is interested, you can show your strength in half a year's time. I just did a little research. The Heavenly Spirit Fruit Tree has been sold a total of 12 times in the past 10,000 years. The highest price was a 33 Dao charm item. The Crystal Wood Core has been sold a total of 4 times in the past few years. The highest price was 65 Dao charms. I won't beat around the bush. Sell these 2 items to me for a total of 100 Dao charms. Chairman Yunhe's expression turned serious. Is Mr. Yuqing speaking the truth? Xinghui waved his hand and a treasure box appeared in front of Yunhe. Suddenly, both Chairman Yunhe and Deacon Zichuan changed their expressions at the same time. At this time, they had received a notification that the Dao charm item in the treasure box contained a total of 100 Dao charms. The Heavenly Spirit Fruit Tree and the Crystal Wood Core that I offered were the highest price in the market. Furthermore, they were sold 6,000 years ago and 4,000 years ago. During these years, the Dao charm market in the True Sun Great World was in a slump. The value of Dao charms had increased by about 10%. If you auction these 2 items now, it would be considered good if you could sell them for 90 Dao charms. My offer of 100 is equivalent to you getting 10 Dao charms. Yunhe's expression changed for a moment. Soon, he made a decision, all right. Since Mr. Yuqing is so straightforward, how can I, Yunhe, be looked down upon by Mr. Yuqing? Zichuan, ask He Lao to send these 2 treasures over immediately. Yes. Zichuan responded respectfully and quickly sent out the message. Not long after, accompanied by waves of ripples, a white-haired old man with a sage-like demeanor walked in from outside. The aura of this old man was deep, obscure, and immeasurable. It was even stronger than the Maverick Realm Doyen that Xinghui had sensed in the Cloud Mountain Cave. Obviously, he not only had the cultivation of the Maverick Realm, but he was also one of the most outstanding figures in the Maverick Realm. As soon as the old man stepped into the private room, his aura triggered the power of law and naturally emitted circles of ripples. However, before this circle of ripples could get close to Tsing-Hui, it dissipated as Tsing-Hui gently knocked on the table. It didn't affect him at all. Seeing Tsing-Hui's move, the old man's eyes suddenly lit up. Is this Mr. Yuqing? You are indeed extraordinary. No wonder you have the courage to take out an item with 100 Dao rhymes to purchase the heavenly spirit fruit tree and the crystal wood core. After speaking, he waved his hand and took out a small fruit tree that was less than 2 meters tall and a crystal wood core with a diameter of 10 centimeters. Mr. Yuqing, please take a look. These are the heavenly spirit fruit tree and the crystal wood core. Tsing-Hui had already understood the characteristics of the heavenly spirit fruit tree and the crystal wood core. He carefully observed and sensed them. They were indeed real. Coupled with the Scarlet Jade Trade Union's outstanding reputation, he nodded and said, I trust the Scarlet Jade Trade Union. Ha, many thanks, Mr. Yuqing. Please rest assured. Our Scarlet Jade Trade Union will record every transaction with more than 10 Dao rhymes using the image recording stone. One copy of the image recording stone will be kept in our Scarlet Jade Trade Union, and the other copy will be given to you. If there is any problem with the purchase of these 2 treasures, you can use the image recording stone to claim compensation from our Scarlet Jade Trade Union. As the old man spoke, he gave the heavenly spirit fruit tree and the crystal wood core to Tsing-Hui. He also took away Tsing-Hui's 100 Dao rhymes item. At the same time, President Yunhe also used the image recording stone to record this scene. He also gave one of the image recording stones to Tsing-Hui. Alright, I look forward to working with you. Tsing-Hui had a faint smile on his face. Although a piece of crystal wood heart couldn't create more than 30 wood spirits like the azure wood essence, it could still nurture 8 to 10 wood spirits. This way, the number of wood spirits in his personal space could reach more than 40, and the time it took for the dragonization fruit tree to grow would be shortened again. I look forward to working with you. The old man smiled. At this moment, President Yunhe stepped forward and said, Mr. Yuqing, our Scarlet Jade Trade Union has many other treasures other than the heavenly spirit fruit tree and the crystal wood core. I wonder if Mr. Yuqing is interested in learning about them. Oh. Tell me about them. Mr. Yuqing, please allow me to introduce them. President Yunhe waved his hand enthusiastically, and one by one, the items were projected into the private room through the power of the array. Each of these items was extremely precious, and their price was not lower than 10 Dao rhymes. Moreover, each of them had their own unique uses. President Yunhe introduced them one by one, and at the same time, he paid attention to Tsing-Hui's expression. If Tsing-Hui showed any interest, he would introduce them in more detail. If Tsing-Hui was not interested, he would quickly skip over them. Under such circumstances, he quickly introduced more than half of the auction items and even the collection of the trade union. Among the 20 or so treasures, Tsing-Hui was not interested in many of them. However, when he introduced the next treasure, Tsing-Hui's eyes suddenly lit up. Mr. Yuqing, please take a look. This is the 29th treasure of our Scarlet Jade Trade Union. It is a strand of dark wilderness chi that our founding elder obtained from the spatial turbulence when he was traveling through space. It is extremely rare. Although the dark wilderness chi has no other effects, it is a sacred item in the hearts of all sacred beasts and divine beasts. It can greatly strengthen their physique and increase their evolution speed. If a 15th level sacred beast obtains a strand of dark wilderness chi, it will definitely be able to evolve to 16th level in a short period of time. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.